92.5.
Well, it's another wonderful Saturday morning here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5, your power station. We are live on the internet on radiogold905.com. We're also live on Pub MCGH and on Facebook. So if you visit that site, Pub MCGH on Facebook, we are streaming live. You can watch whatever is happening in the studios of Radio Gold this morning. Welcome to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji N Alhaji, proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise and Kulun Ghana Limited, and also TT Brothers. My name is Senna Number. The show is produced by Patrick Asford Boedu. And before we move on to the discussions for today, let's share with you what's on the front pages of newspapers this morning. The first paper is The Spectator, and on the front page you have alliances of orphanages to be closed down. Also, twin sisters deliver baby girls same day. Sister Lucy, an icon of service to humanity. And also, constant makeup can cause skin infection. Alexandrina. The Ghanaian Times has 161,000 students leave for school today under Gold Track program. President consoles family of WUA student killed on a dental road. Finance Minister presents budget to Parliament November 15, and RECSEC imposes curfew on Nangpanching. The Daily Guide has Asawasi police killings report out. Mosquito gives fresh reason for NDC defeat. Nana cries for Adenta crashed girl. Work resumes on food bridges, and 2 arrested over Kokomba Dagomba pig wine. Finally, the Daily Graphic has police deployed on a Denton highway to ensure pedestrian safety. State institutions abandon research findings, and also IGP suspends police leave, and Charlotte Osei withdraw suits against Opoko Ajiman. Those are on the front pages of the newspapers we have this morning. If you just joined us, you're listening to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji N Alhaji. Welcome to the show today, and we are live on a number of affiliates across the country. A big thank you to Sekpele 104.3 in Likpe, Radio Kwando 102.5 in Kwando, Local C Radio 96.1 in Vengo Lokwati, Radio Silver in Sekendi, Shine FM in Akachi, Radio Kita 195.7 in Saboba, GFM Radio in London, and we are on the internet, radiogold905.com, on Pub MCGH on Facebook. And for today's program, we are talking about the state of the nations ahead of the nation ahead of the budget and expectations of the 2019 budget in Parliament. Now, put that together with issues being raised about the state of infrastructure in the country, specifically roads, the issue that has happened in Adenta, and also on the motorway. The complaints are there are more complaints coming in by the day about the state of the motorway. In fact, I've seen a video where a man refused to pay tolls because he feels that the tolls were not being used to fix that particular stretch of road. So that will be on the table. Our first topic of discussion, the state of the country ahead of the budget and expectations. Then we will talk about President Nana Akufo-Addo's claim that he has been fighting corruption. What he said is that every allegation against his government or any appointee of his government on corruption has been investigated, and majority of the time they found that there's no evidence to back those allegations. He's saying this in the wake of some serious allegations that have been raised against the boss of the Ghana Maritime Authority. In fact, there are serious issues about him using $1 million cedis to fix his residence, and about some 14 air conditions that were installed in there. And then we'll end with a discussion on the National Delegates Congress of the National Democratic Congress, the internal election that will be going on. They are completing it with the election of national executives next week, 17th November. So we'll be talking about that. In the studio with me, Dr. Edward Omani-Boama, who is a former Minister of Communications. Mr. Sam Piale is President of the National Democratic Congress's Professional Forum. Lawyer Godwin Eduji Tamakulu is a private legal practitioner, and Emmanuel Wilson is Director of Communications for the People's National Convention. My name is Senna Nombo. Show is produced by Patrick Asford Boedu. Before I bring in Lawyer Dujitamoklo to start our very first topic for us, this is a message coming on from Kojo Chumbwa. For he says, "Sena, kindly wish my mom, Mrs. Victoria Chumbwa, for one of Radio Gold and this program's most regular and avid listener, a very happy birthday. On behalf of all the Chumbwa folks, we wish her many more years of wellness and great wealth." So you are listening to us right now, Mrs. Victoria Chumbwa, for a happy birthday to you. Thanks for always staying tuned to the station and for following this program keenly. Well, so let's start with our very first topic, the state of the nation, expectations ahead of the budget, and with Lawyer Godwin Dujitamoklo. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Sana. Let me say good morning to my own senior brother here, Honorable Dr. Edward Omane Buama, my able senior brother, Emmanuel Wilson, whilst we wait for my learned senior, Sam Piale, to join us. May I use this opportunity to also say good morning to the ardent listeners of Alhaji N Alhaji for the opportunity. This program is what it is because of them. We also join my senior brother Kojo Chumbwa in wishing the mother a happy birthday. I had the opportunity of meeting her because she was always saying, who is that Eduji boy who is always on Alhaji N Alhaji? So I had to go and meet her. So on this occasion, we thank the Almighty God for how far she had brought her. And the various youth organizers of the National Democratic Congress in Greater Accra, and the good work that they've done at the Pentecost Worship Center in Gumuafete in electing the able leadership for the youth of our party and the women organizers as such. As you are aware, H.E. John Dramani Mahama is also starting his Ashanti region campaign very soon, and so the team too, I pray to the Almighty God that they'll go and come back safely. Now that said, I want to look at the topic, a critical analysis of the state of the nation. First of all, the state of our nation, its economy, is described in 2 words: utter hopelessness, to borrow the words of Martin Alamisi, the special lamenter who Nanado has so appointed. Why am I saying that the state of the nation as we speak is one of hopelessness? My good friends who have this civil society group did a research on the number of job losses within the 2 years of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo misrule. And the evidence is so damning that within the past 3 years, over 3 million job losses have been recorded. Within the mining sector alone, relative to small-scale mining, over 1 million jobs have been lost there. And so many other places. Just last week, within this week, Metro TV announced the sacking or the termination of the contract of over 45, 20-something workers. Just Metro TV. TV3 has equally done that. And then when you come to the banking sector, the evidence is there. So that is the state of the nation as we speak. If you recall, when the NPP came to power, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta presented what became known as the Asempa budget. And in fact, by reading of that budget, he went back and traced his family history, gave all his ancestors the needed accolades when he was reading that budget. Immediately after the budget, we saw our brothers and sisters in Abosokai, they went on procession with brass band to express their joy and happiness to the Akufo-Addo administration. Now that budget was supposed to be a Sempa budget. Literally means good news.
Yeah.
Now the fallout of that good news is what happened less than a year after. So the same Abosokai, so I'm going to use the people in Abosokai to demonstrate the state of the economy and the state of this nation. So the same people who went on procession with brass band music and gave all the accolade on the basis of mere promise without more. Today, these same people, their verdict on the misrule by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is what is expressed in the account words, Medofo Adadame, to which my good friend has what disappointed me. So beyond the hopelessness is the critical question of disappointment on the face of the good people of this country. When it comes to the economy and the management of same, the evidence is that we have borrowed over 40 billion and more, and there is nothing to show for it. We are still borrowing. In fact, as we speak, with so much desperation, government had to go to Parliament to now collateralize, get fund proceeds in order that they will go and take $1.5 billion. That is how desperate this government has become. The conduct of this administration is like a man who is so drunk or intoxicated but still wants more. Because this government is showing no restraint when it comes to what? Borrowing. And in fact, I have heard the finance minister and the president say that the 2019 budget is going to be a budget of hope. When we saw the Asempa budget, the next result, the verdict from the people in Abosokai was one of Asembone. Bad news. So the Asempa budget produced bad news. Then the president said, look, the 2018 budget will be named Ejuma budget. That budget resulted in job losses within the banking sector. Several media houses are laying off their workers. Several industries in Tema are laying off their workers. So when we had the Ejuma budget, the result is massive unemployment. That is the state of the economy. That is the state of affairs as we speak, my brother. One would say, not that the president is promising us hope in 2019, by just logical deduction, if Asempa produce Asembone, to the extent that Ashanti Business Owners Association, led by no other person, the senior brother of the minority leader, Chairman Sabonsu's own brother, his verdict on the state of affairs is that they are unable to do their businesses in Kumasi. This is not Volta Business Owners Association. It is not, quote unquote, Aigbe Business Owners Association. I am talking about Ashanti Business Owners Association, of which the senior brother of the majority leader, Chairman Sabonsu, is a very prominent member of that association. Their verdict is that Nana Okumien, that Nana's style of governance is killing their businesses. Today, our good brothers at Makola, Guta, their verdict on this government is that the mismanagement of the exchange rates has resulted in a situation where even their profits, they cannot account for it. Because by the time they go and buy the items, by the time they come back, the city would have so much depreciated that they are unable to even get how much they took outside to go and buy the stuff, let alone to account for their profit. So in terms of the state of the economy as we speak, it is one of doom and gloom. You cannot sit down and even imagine the prospect of hope. Because, Senna, I make this simple analysis, and when I meet people, and when I talk to taxi drivers, I say, look, under President John Dramani Mahama, you were getting fuel around 14 and 16 Ghana cedis. 14, 16 Ghana cedis. At that time, you have not seen the Asempa budget. You have not seen the Ejuma budget. Today, the combined force of Asempa Ejuma budget has resulted in petrol being sold at 24, 25 Ghana cedis. So if this is Asempa, if this is Ejuma, what will hope look like? You don't need to be a soothsayer to see that Nanado has lost control on the management of the economy. And that is why he now takes delight in traveling. Look, I had the benefit of looking at my own brother Samuel Abujinapo when he appeared before the Finance Committee of Parliament to justify the presidential or the budget for government machinery for 2018. Presidential travels, the combined budget for Bamia and Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo is over 45 million Ghana cedis. That is the state of the economy. So our president has a budget of over 45 million for his travels within Ghana and abroad. So now his delight is to travel. As we speak, it does appear he's even in South Africa. So that is the kind of president. He had lost control. The nation is on autopilot. We don't know where we are going. It is obvious that the direction that our president has taken this country, we are most definitely going into the dish. And that is why it requires a certain response from the people of this country to reverse this trend. Look, under the NDC administration, Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the NPP created the impression that they have the men. In fact, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, on several occasions, created the impression that he, having worked at the Bank of Ghana as the deputy governor, he is clear in his mind that there is money in this country. There were many times that you hear our own president saying, Yaye mobo dodo, Yaye mobo kra dodo, na yetisikaso in the ebre. Nana mesrewo, mesrewo, enidiem. Sikana ani ete sono, sikano wany. Ani yensa anti sikaso. So people use sweet words just to fulfill a childhood dream. The last time Nanado said he had made history. Yes, it's true, Nana, you have made history. That's true. Your dad was a ceremonial president, you are now president. That's enough of a history. But when it comes to qualitative leadership, Nanado, you have failed. And you are going to go down as one of the, I don't know how to even describe it. Look, the NPP claim that one of their flagship matters is the free SHS. What I describe as free quantity education. Look, just last week, within this week, Monday, I entered into the registries of one of the courts. Then I met this man. The first word to me was, you politicians, you take your children to the best schools and look at what you are doing to our school. I said, oh, Chief, what is it? He said, by 10th of this month, the son is supposed to have finished one term of a school. And now he had to go and look for money to put the child in extra classes. So he asked me, why not allow me to pay the fees and allow my child to have one term from, say, September to somewhere December? I mean, that is worth my money. Now you claim you are giving me the thing for free. Then 41 days, you say my child should come home. Even the 41 days, he spent part of the days at home. So effectively, my child did less than 30 days in school. And you say he's done with one term. I should go now look for extra funds to get him extra classes. What Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo is doing, look, some of us, but for education, I will not be here. I see education as the surest tool for social mobility. And so anybody who tries to toil with education, that person is not only dangerous, but should never be countenanced. You claim you want to bring free education. We told you that, Nana. Look, you are not the first person to be president of this country. Do enough consultation. Look, say let it be NDC, but to the extent that Dr. Kwame Adokufo, a stalwart of the NPP, will come out and say, with what he has seen, the NPP should be slow in the implementation. No, don't say no. Political Jeremiahs, who and who, naysayers, and that is his own. That is what he knows best. Name calling. So when Kwame Adokufo, Honorable, told them that, look, this thing must be handled well, what did he do? He brought in the arrogant Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to effectively rubbish what Dr. Kwame Adokufo has said, and that they are going to do it. I asked one of the NPP guys, so we are doing it because of politics, and that those cases, if we are taking about 400 this year, 400, by the time we are done, over 1 million. So those kids will be at a voting age and they'll vote for us. So Nanado is not even looking at the future of these kids. It's all about votes. Do you know why the NPP were so mad at my senior brother Akamba when he had that video interaction with the case Ngaru? It was because, contrary to their expectation, that the kids who are the beneficiaries of the free SHS will just be in a conveyor belt and just go and vote for NPP or Nanado. The verdict from those girls is that Nanado is taking them through hell. They show the marks on their body, their skin. And you know, for ladies, what their skin mean to them. The bed bugs, the infections. And this thing is all over the country. My kid brother teaches in one of the secondary schools in Volta. He said, I should come and see what is happening in the school. This is a government that is so clueless that 2 years, Senna, this government had not even put for competitive tendering or put out a bid to even construct classroom blocks. When they had the opportunity through the Ministry of Special Initiatives, what they did is to put out there that 6-unit classroom will be costing 770,000 Ghana cedis. Under the NDC, 530 were described as inflated. Fast forward to 2017, they are about constructing classroom blocks at 770,000 Ghana cedis. That is not inflated. So, Senator, if you pick everything that has happened under this administration within the past 2 years, it does not give you even a glimmer of hope that tomorrow will be better. Every solid indicator under the NDC, the NPP is reversing. Look, come to think of it, under the NDC, we had only one oil well. See the massive infrastructure. Today, there are over 3 wells. At that time, under the NDC, crude oil prices had fallen to $35 per barrel. Today is inching over $70. Look at the windfall. But this government, beyond the borrowing, the windfall from our oil, the taxes, we are still asking this government to account for 1 KVIP that they have done. They are still struggling. My brother, infrastructure-wise, it appears this government had decided that, look, infrastructure means nothing to them. Why am I saying this? When the NPP came, one of the things that they did was to say they want to audit every contract that had been given. And in fact, in some of the audits, okay, one of the members of the Council of State, Cocoa Board, the audit on Cocoa Board, the Cocoa Rose project, he was given $10 million for the audit projects. Now, the effect of that audit is to halt all road projects that were being funded under the cocoa improvement projects. And you know, road projects, once you halt it, it deteriorates. So today, if you have to start the work again, you would have to go get money, do what has been done already. That is the kind of misgovernance that Nana Danko Akufo-Addo is taking us through. Can't you do an audit together with working at the same time? Look, the NDC administration had awarded the contract from Sokode, you know who? Sokode to who? To dualize it. What did the NPP do? Halt it in the name of audit. The project went back. 2, from Howe to Jasikan, it was awarded to Rolida to do that project. From Have right to Howe, Golokwati, all those areas into Howe, it was given to First Sky and the Chinese. In the name of auditing, go and look at those projects. They have deteriorated. Look at Howe to Jasikan. It's so unpassable. Meanwhile, by the time the NDC left, they were even doing culverts because I went there. Today, all that had gone back to very bad state. So you now have to go and mobilize money in order to do this. My brother, we have come to a point where I am pleading with the good people of Ghana. There is a saying that elections have consequences. I think that we have had a benefit. Like Nanado said, Munso Minhwe, try me. We have tried him. We have never seen this kind of misrule. A governance anchored on public relations. Governance anchored on graphic design. We have never seen this kind before. Things are so terrible today that the anger in the good people of you saw what happened in Medina and Adenta. It is pent up anger. The danger of this misrule by Nanado is that the political class in this country is being endangered. And that is what all of us must wake up to stop it now. As for what we should expect as Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta prepares, I cannot give you a clue. More taxes, more taxes, more taxes. Look, you know there's now something called Nanado tax stamp. Oh, you've not seen it?
I've seen the tax stamp. I don't know about it being called Nanadota?
This drink that you serve here, have you seen the tax stamp?
Yes, I've seen that.
Now, almost everything that you buy in this country, you see tax stamp. Even Kofi Brookman. No, I mean, that is how ridiculous Nanado had reduced governance in this country too. Almost everything is now being taxed everywhere. And when you speak to business people, I'm a lawyer. I deal with a lot of business people. They come with you. Ordinary people. The common cliché is Sikani ho. Sikani system. System na dry. And the unfortunate thing today is that when you speak up against this incompetent, clueless, and lazy administration, what they do is to hound you. To the extent that a director, since we'll be dealing with corruption, I will come there. How this administration, beyond being lazy, clueless, they are equally corrupt. It is so dangerous that sometimes I fear for the political class in this country that a time will come, if something is not done immediately, that you'll be working. Once people said acquire or Nanji or a politician, people will just walk on you, because Nanado created a certain impression in the minds of our people that Ghana then was hell, and that he had the magic wand that immediately on assumption of office, everything, we will see milk everywhere. What are we seeing today, Sana? What are we seeing today? The little infrastructure project. Look, to the extent that now when foreigners, dignitaries come to Ghana, all the infrastructure project that John Mahama did, that Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo criticized, gave name calling and what have you, inflated what this. When Donald Trump's wife, the first lady of US, Melania, came to Ghana, do you know the project they took her to? The Rich Hospital. And then with the minister and then our first lady took picture, because they want to show the outside world the state of health. They didn't take her to Chebi Government Hospital. They did it. They took the first lady of the US. When Prince Charles, right? The Prince of Wales. Yeah. When he came over, you know where they took him to? The KJTR project in Kumasi. Who is the initiator of this laudable project? John Dramani Mahama. These were the same project that the MPP bastardized. Any serious person who comes to this country today, when the president of Ivory Coast, what's the name, Alassane Ouattara, when he came, open top, Nanado took him round the circle interchange. So you will see, because Alassane Ouattara has an appreciation of how the circle interchange looked from Nkrumah's time. So he took him, go and see what has the place has turned into now. That was the state of infrastructure that John Dramani Mahama left Ghana. Another critical issue, because we are dealing with infrastructure, is the critical question of energy. Energy. Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been in power for the past 2 years, almost 2 years. If you put them to straight proof, that they should tell you how many megawatts of power that they have added to the national generation capacity, they are unable to tell you. By the time John Dramani Mahama was leaving office in 2017, he had brought Ameri 250. Car power agreement was to supply us 450. The 450 is in. Do you know that when the car power project came, and I record this vividly, I won't forget, to the extent that the MPP MP for Koforibia, Makosei Asibe, in fact, took the car power agreement to the Supreme Court. effectively to stop that project. His lawyer was my own friend, lawyer Alexander Afenyumakin, to frustrate car power from coming into this country. I recall very well the then Deputy Attorney General Dr. Ayene had to go to Turkey to convince the car power people that we desperately needed power, because the guy said they were awaiting the Supreme Court decision before. Today, what has the NPP added? We brought in Amandi, we brought in Jacobson, the Senate Power Project. All these things were initiatives that were taken or undertaken under the NDC. To the extent that when President Mahama noticed that the problem within the energy subsector there were two in nature, generation and finance. What did he do with the finance? Together with the solid economic management team, headed by the able, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Arthur, what they did was to bring the Energy Sector Levies Act, ESLA. When we introduced ESLA in 2015, the NPP described it as nuisance taxes. Today, as we speak, do you know that they've gone to borrow using the ESLA receivables as collateral? So this is a man, it's like your father has done everything for you. When you come, instead of exercising a bit of humility, candor, what you rather do is to say, my daddy, you've left me a mess. If there is any mess, it is the Nanado government and not what they inherited. Look at the Etuabo gas project. By the time you came, John Dramani Mahama had done everything with the ENI project. One of these days, call the minority spokesperson on energy, Mutawakin, to tell you what is happening in the energy sector. We are in a serious crisis. Do you know that as we speak, government is unable to take the gas from the ENI project? Yes. And we are heading towards huge problem. So this government, upon everything that you inherited, the gas project, the ENI project, the solid infrastructure, everything, you have not even added qualitatively anything to it. It is just talk, travel, nothing. The free SHL that you say is your flagship program. You have reduced it into traffic light. Today red, today green. Let us even see demonstrable quality in the redness or the greenness of this light. What are we seeing? The kids who are the future leaders of this country, we are using them for experiment. Do you know how NDC resolved issues about education? In 2009, may his soul rest in peace, Professor John Ivan Satamil, when he took over the leadership of this country, President Kufuor had then brought the 4 years without the benefit of thinking that you need to increase infrastructure to meet the 4 year, schools. So Atta Mills came only to face that crisis. We deployed the emergency classroom blocks, and within a year, we had constructed over 600 classrooms and dormitories across the length and breadth of this country. Within 2 years, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Minister for Education, can they tell us the number of classrooms that they have built? My friend attended school in Mali. The other day, he went there and came back and said, look, Mali Secondary School, where they used to pack their bone shaker, it had been reduced into a classroom block. The car park is now a lecture room for kids. Nanado, what wrong have we done? Okay. The 53% of our people who felt that, let's give you, please, you need to respect their decision.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lawyer Godwin Eduji Tamaklo. And you're listening to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji N Alhaji.
So, just 1 minute. I need to correct a certain misconception, particularly with Adenta Medina, that project. Do you know that by the time we were leaving office, and first of all, when we took over that project, President Kufuor started the project with no funding. No, absolutely no funding whatsoever. That became part of the Gang of Four, Sofoline Interchange, Accra Achimota Road, all those road projects without any dedicated funding. It was placed on GOG. Professor Mills, may his soul rest in peace, took up the initiative. By the time we're leaving office, the state of that project, and one will reasonably expect that the MPP, having taken over power within 2 years, having borrowed over 40 billion Ghana cedis, would have the decency to at least complete those footbridges. They never did. And instead of them being responsible, they are rather in this realm of excuses upon excuses. If this government is minded not to remove justices of the Court of Appeal, among others from the official residence, and go rent new places and pay them, which the government says is their priority. The president says his priority of priorities is to build a national cathedral. Our president is deluded into thinking that he can bribe his way into heaven. He cannot do that. People are dying. You don't consider that to be a priority. It is the national cathedral. I went to the Church of Pentecost worship center in Gumafede. If a church can do that, why should the state even intervene?
Okay. Let's read a couple of the messages you're sharing with us on Facebook, PabMCGH. And Kingdom Kalechi Kwesida Chomo says, good morning, Senna and your panelists. Watching you live from Sugakope. If you refuse to pay contractors to complete projects because they are perceived to be NDC and it costs lives, you have blood on your hands. You can't build a cathedral for God. God is holy. Just put simple. And this one is... It says, I'm Stephen from Spanner. The president was not truthful to us in faraway South Africa. And also Ed Fifi Joe says that the deputy minister is confused. Oh, Nana, is this the man you told us you had? I bet I can do far better than this so-called deputy information minister. Yet I'm home jobless. Thanks to your plan of collapsing our banks for data bank to survive. Soon you'll hear from the youth of this country. Daniel Ankara says that that deputy minister of information does not know anything, but is only, they should learn to speak the truth and be humble. And also... Arafat Yakubu just says, Jack, where are you, government? Pilolo. Patrick Kwesi Ewa Bafo says that, Eduji, you are my lawyer. It's unfortunate I'm in Dubai now, but hope to see you one day. Kukia Benedictu says that, Senator, the truth is that this government doesn't know anything about leadership. And Charles Nyame Asamankese says, obviously, there's nothing more left to save the MPP government from a historic defeat come 2020 than discipline, massive corruption, and daylight robbery of our public purse, insecurity, and arrogance of power in the system, supervised by Akufo-Addo is just annoying. Never again. And... Habib Bantu says, Senna, good morning to you and your cherished listeners around the world. Nana Akufo-Addo has failed Ghanaians in all spheres of our national development. Corruption is the order of the day. Ghanaians are poorer and suffering under Nana Akufo-Addo government. Corruption is everywhere. Clear daylight robbery is what President Akufo-Addo and his incompetent ministers have unleashed on Ghanaians, leaving majority of us to wallow in abject poverty. Bread and butter is a luxury, yet the president doesn't seem to have any clue in solving the numerous problems confronting us. 2020, Ghanaians, let's not make the mistake of 2016 and vote massively for NDC and John Dramani Mahama. And so you can also share your thoughts on the discussion we are having when you watch us on PabMCGH. You can also send it to WhatsApp to 0233 995905 0233 995905. Let's move on to Emmanuel Wilson, who is Director of Communications of the People's National Convention. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Senna. Hope you are doing well.
By God's grace.
Thank you. And a quick morning to my seniors, my uncle, and my brothers, particularly to us, the listeners and the viewers of this wonderful program. As I keep saying, for us to have them listening to us and watching us is purely a privilege because they have other options. And so we still want to acknowledge them for making the show what it is now, you know. Senna, my heart is a bit heavy this morning. And it actually started from last Friday. And it is one of the topics. In fact, the first topic is 2 in 1.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to start from the latter part and end with the former. Yesterday night, I decided to take a walk. And the road was a bit quiet. So just around 10:30 there, when I thought I was tired, I should get home. At one of the junctions, I saw this elderly woman. Should be in the age of 50, mid-50s. And she was moving from one dustbin to the other. And I saw her taking empty drinking bottles. And so it struck me, and I got closer to her, and I asked her what she was doing. She told me that she's looking for empty bottles to go and sell on the market, the Medina market, today. Then I asked her why and how much is it going to cost. Then she said, well, she belonged to the group that sweeps the road. I don't know whether it is part of NYEP or whatever they call it. And that for the past 3 or so months, she has not been paid. She has 2 kids. She's a widow. She has 2 kids. And so she needs to take care of the kids. And so this is what she does. And she normally do it in the night where no one will really see her. I felt so bad about it. When I inquired of the cost of those empty drinking bottles, funny enough, it was just in the range of about 20 pesos, 30 pesos, 40 pesos per bottle. So you can imagine the number of bottles this woman have to look for before she can raise just about 2 cedi or 3 cedi or 4 cedi. And not just the bottles, you can also imagine the number of dustbins this woman has to play her hands in or put her hands in to be looking for these bottles. Well, whatever happened afterwards, I'm not going to say it as to what I was able to do and to help and all that. But it creates a bigger picture. A picture of the realities on the ground. That if such an individual will queue to elect a leader, hoping that that leader will make life comfortable for her or for similar persons, and at the end of the day, all we see is the display of affluence. Those leaders we elect seems to be so much detached from us, to the extent that a grown-up woman in her mid-50s, around 10:30 p.m., she's moving from one dustbin to the other. I think as a nation, particularly as politicians, and most importantly, those who have had the opportunity to rule us in this Fourth Republic, and so importantly, those currently ruling us, we should really demonstrate that if we needed the power to serve individuals, we should be able to demonstrate and make a reflection of it. That's what we need to do. Last Friday, I was in the office when I heard that, and my office is just around Adenta, when I heard that a car has knocked someone and the person is still lying on the streets for almost 20 minutes and no one has come to the person's aid. I quickly stopped what I was doing to rush to the scene. And the intention and the purpose for doing that was to get to the scene to find out if indeed it is true. And if it is, I would have moved from the scene to the police station to go and inquire from them why they are not responding. And for me, what really moved me was the fact that the police station was just a stone throw from where the lady was knocked down. I moved there, and when I got there, fortunately, when I got there, I saw the police were in the process of carrying her into a pickup, and they took her off. It is so sad, very sad, very, very, very sad that we live in a country where we do not place premium or value on human lives. It is very, very, very sad that we live in a country where V8s are more than ambulances. It is so, so, so sad that we live in a country where leaders that we elect, who are supposed to serve our interests, end up serving their own interests and forgetting about the ordinary person who pays the tax for them to live a comfortable life. It is so sad. You see, on the stretch from Medina all the way to the Adenta, we have a number of uncompleted bypasses. And to date, it was initiated, just like you said, that road was actually initiated under Kufuor. So how many years now? Over 10 years? And we've not been able to complete it. But funny enough, that road has been commissioned. At what stage do we commission projects? Why was it commissioned when it hasn't been completed? That Friday afternoon, about 2 hours before the lady was knocked down, a car knocked a guy. Fortunately, that guy did not die. Just about 2 hours before then. A day before, which was a Thursday, a car knocked a woman who was walking, trying to cross the road with a child. Just at the same place. And so when a day before a similar thing has happened, that day, 2 hours before a similar thing has happened, and this time a girl knocked down. Over 30 minutes or so, the body was still there, and the police, a walking distance, it shouldn't take the police more than 3 minutes to walk from the station to the scene. And it took over 30 minutes before the lady was taken off the road. It created anger among the people there. And so they decided that, look, let us demonstrate. Now, I've heard a lot of people making comments to the effect that, oh, okay, the people there shouldn't have taken the law into their hands. Probably they don't really know what has been happening. 3 weeks ago, a group of residents in that place went to see the MCE to complain to the MCE over the rate at which individuals are being knocked down. The MCE's response to them was that, well, I have forwarded this issue to the appropriate ministry. There's nothing much I can do. This was 2 weeks ago. As a result of the MCA's response, the residents decided to have a meeting, and they did. And when they had the meeting, they agreed that this coming Monday they were going to have a demonstration. So, it was already in the pipeline that this coming Monday they were going to have a demonstration. They have already served the police, the Adenta police, and they were putting measures together to ensure that Monday they do have this demonstration. only for Friday to come, and these things happened. The police relaxed in getting to the scene. They got upset, they got angry, decided that, look, enough is enough. We must ensure that the appropriate authorities will listen and will hear us. And so they decided to demonstrate. Fortunately, whether they did the right form of demonstration or not, it has caught the attention of the whole nation. But my difficulty is that should we get to this stage before authorities' attention we will be able to get the attention of authorities? It's so funny that, you see, this lady who died apparently went to the school, that is WAS, for classes, and when she closed and was returning, that is where she had this accident. In front of the West African Secondary School, the population, the student population, from January to date, about 8 students have been knocked down. Just in front there. So now, isn't it so mind-boggling that this is the same school that the president went to launch the free SHS? When the president was moving into that school, was he sleeping in the car? Didn't he realize that with such a population, that footbridge needs to be completed as soon as possible? He didn't see it. Virtually almost every week, if the president is, we are fortunate to have him in the country, you will see his convoy moving from Accra to Peduase. He uses the same stretch. Is it that the president has never seen this? Or anytime he gets to that stretch from Medina Zongo Junction to Adenta, he falls asleep in the car, so he's not able to see what is happening? I heard the one MP who is in charge, he's part of the is it one of the committees, road safety committees, IEP. And what he was talking about was, well, in as much as we want to associate with the family, we still want to condemn the residents for burning ties on the streets, because what they have done is going to be an additional cost to the states, because the asphalt, the portion where the ties were burnt, need to be reconstructed. Then I said to myself, if this is the thinking of the leaders we have, then Ghana, we have a long way to go. In as much as, yes, I agree to some extent, I don't think that is something to be discussed in this state. Has he thought of the life that we have lost as a nation? That lady who is dead, do we know what she would have been? Do we know the value of that lady to the family that she belongs to? And yet we're able to get an MP who is thinking about the road, the asphaltic portion that is going to be reconstructed. I think that our leaders must take us serious. You know the funny thing, as I said, when I heard of this story, and then I quickly rushed to the scene, I was there till about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening before I left. Throughout my presence there till today, I haven't heard Boabin Asamoah, who is the MP there, uttering a single word. If any of us have heard, let the person tell me. Just as I heard of it, left whatever I was doing to rush to the scene to go and find out whether there's any help I can give. Where was Boabin Asamoah, the MP? Till date, we haven't even heard of him uttering a word, a single word. And these are the kind of leaders we've gone to elect to lead us. These are the kind of leaders we have wasted our energy to queue, elect to lead us. Now people are saying that, well, but he's just an MP and what he's supposed to do is to go and formulate policies, and so there's nothing he can do about it. 2016, prior to the election, I saw aspiring MPs, including Boabin Asamoah, constructing certain footbridges in those constituencies. Why were they doing that? Just to get a vote? Why is it that today they've become MPs and they are all of a sudden telling us that it is not their duty to seek the welfare of the constituents? I was there and someone said something, which of course it is a street argument, but it got into me. The person said, our MP was able to use his position as an MP to go for a car loan to buy a V8. Can't he use his position as an MP to influence, even if not coming from the states, to influence certain institutions, encourage private organizations and say that, look, as a social corporate responsibility, come and help me, team up with me to complete this footbridge for my constituents? Couldn't he have done that as a leader? Well, I'm still asking, where is Boabin Asamoah, who is the MP for Adentan constituency? I will want to commend the Adenta police, particularly Superintendent Odame, for the matured way in which they were handling those individuals that were protesting. In fact, at a point, those individuals were just about being I saw them moving off. Then all of a sudden, some other police guys came. I'm not sure whether they came from the headquarters or whatever, but we were told that they are backups. They got to the scene, and the first thing they could do was to start giving warning shots. And that angered the guys. They started throwing stones. And you know the funny thing, even when I saw some officers from the Adenta police station telling these new guys to stop the warning shots, they were still doing it. I saw two young guys who were affected by the bullets, because the warning shots were not just rubber bullets, they were also having live bullets. Two guys were affected. It was later when I was told that a lady who was driving, who was in her car with a kid, they were also affected by the live bullets. And I ask myself what kind of unprofessionalism this can be. Uncle Sam, you're a lawyer. Maybe you can help me out. Is it the norm that if police are being discharged to such scenes, they are not supposed to exhibit their names on their uniform? There was no single policeman who came to the scene who had her name on his uniform.
They're not policemen.
Or his how do you call it? His number. Nothing. All of them. There was none. some guys, when the live bullet was, going on, some guys decided to, everyone started running. And then some of the guys rushed into the compound of West African Secondary School. Then, funny enough, some policemen chased him. They got there. The watchman said he's not going to open the gates for them. They forcefully entered, and when they entered, 2 teachers came to plead on behalf of those boys who had run. But I even thought that the intention for the warning shot was to disperse the crowd. So if the people were running, why were you chasing them?
Exactly.
Now, the police guys got there, entered, and 2 teachers came to plead. When the teachers came pleading, you know what happened? These police guys arrested these 2 teachers, dragged them off the compound, that's the campus, took them to where their pickups and their buses were, and strangely started slapping them. Now, when they did that, of course, students. Some students that were in the school learning, they got a hint of it that our teachers have been arrested. So they also mobilized themselves and came back again to the streets. And it escalated the whole scene. Finally, I went to one superintendent, and I told him that, look, what your guys are doing, it doesn't make sense. I worked with him, we went to those guys, and then we insisted, and the teachers were left to go. But leaving the teachers to go, the students have mobilized themselves and they've come to the streets. It escalated the whole scene. This is what happened in Adenta. And the most interesting part of it, those backup that came to escalate the situation. Later, I don't know his rank, Kwesi Fuli. Is it Kwesi Fuli?
Yeah.
I was even trying to speak to Kwesi Fuli, and he wouldn't even give me attention. I said, now look, uncle, this is not the best thing to do. Before you guys came, I am telling you the Adenta police were just about resolving this situation, and everyone was about moving on. Because you see, the Adenta police, they live with the people there. So they understand their language. They know the difficulties these people were going through. No wonder when they came, they didn't come with guns, but they came talking to the people. And I'm telling you on authority that the guys they were almost leaving. They were almost leaving the scene when Kwesi Foyi and his group came, and they started giving warning shots. And that angered them. This is what happened in Adenta. What kind of country is this? What kind of country is this? That we value the life we don't value the life of any human. The statistics I'm hearing is that from the Adenta Strait to Zongo Junction is over 100, almost 200 individuals have lost their lives on that stretch. Almost 200, even if it is one. Even if it is one person, is it acceptable? So Kwesi Foyi and his team, they could come to the scene within that short notice. Where were they then? When that lady, that poor girl, was knocked down and over 30 minutes, she was lying on the streets. What kind of country do we find ourselves in? What kind of country is this? And the most annoying part, look, when the guys started burning the ties, I am telling you, they started burning the ties in less than 10 minutes. Fire service team was there. And they wanted to put off the fire. And I'm like, so where were all these rescue teams? When the girl finally was picked, she was picked into the buckets of a pickup. Doc is here. It is even possible that even though they left the girl to be in that situation for over 30 minutes, it is possible that she may probably not have been dead. If an ambulance had come, I am sure some first aid would have been given to her. But the police came with a pickup. I am sure that the guys that came in that pickup, there's none that had a medical background to even check whether the girl's pulse is still working. They came, carried her, put her in the buckets, looked for some branches, and then covered her with it. They took her off. Oh God, Ghana. Look, I think that we are getting to a state where if we don't take care as a nation, particularly as politicians, when the people decide that they are fed up and they are taking the law into their own hands, there is nothing that we can do. And for me, that day, I saw the exhibition of the people's power. One guy was standing in front of two policemen. They were beating him. Then one policeman came and said, "My brother, run away." He said, "Boss, you guys should kill me." That is the state. He said, "Kill me. I'm not running away, kill me." Even when they were slapping him, he was still standing there. I'm sure to him he's fed up. He's fed up with what is happening in this country. But I keep asking again, is it this morning or yesterday, I heard that the road minister has issued a statement that the construction is going to take place in a week's time or whatever. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the country we find ourselves in? And then shamefully, I am told that the president too has made a comment. If he has the people at heart, I'm saying that the day, assuming nobody has told him anything, the day he drove with his convoy all the way into Was to see the population of students, and if indeed he has the people's welfare at heart, that should have been the day for him to ask, hey, so with this population, looking at how busy the road in front of your school is, what is the state? Then I am sure the headmaster would have briefed him to say that from January to date, Your Excellency, we have lost about 8 students. It's all about priority setting. That is not their priority. When we get to the stage of corruption, I will tell you the amount of money that goes into the Flagstaff House. And so if anyone makes the argument that we don't have money in the system, it is simply because certain things are not of a priority to the presidents. Okay. I am still waiting to see the family of this lady. We've still not been told if the family have been identified. Yeah. But I'm sure if the family is identified, I will personally find a way of going there to express my condolence. But I'll still want to encourage the residents of Adenta that Monday they should still go ahead and do their demonstration. Tuesday they should continue. Wednesday they should continue. They should do it even when the so-called contractors come back to the scene. They should do it till it is fully completed. So now, there's another thing that is also so disheartening, and that has to do with how we consider particularly our less fortunate brothers and sisters when we are constructing our roads. When I was driving here, I used the N1 all the way from Tetekwashi to the Tesano, how do you call it, overhead. We have 2 bypasses. Now, all these 2, none made provision for our brothers and sisters who are in a wheelchair. None made provisions for our brothers and sisters who are physically challenged. And if you look at the design of the footbridges from the Medina to Adenta, it is the same. So you ask yourself, what goes into the thinking of these leaders? What goes into the thinking of these leaders? The lady, according to the people there who saw it, those who really saw what happened, and of course I went and I saw the lady being picked, so I know her. She is this what we call albino. And of course, the reality is that we know that our brothers and sisters who are in that state, at a particular period in the day, their eyesight are even affected. And if you look at when the accident took place, it took place when the sun was really up. When we are constructing roads, do we make consideration for all these people? Do we? Do we make consideration for all these people? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. And for me, look, if you've traveled out of the country or you have even been watching foreign news and all that, the speed with which a dog is rescued from a ditch in outside countries, a dog, a goat, an animal. Now, all I'm saying is that there are outside countries where the lives of animals are more valuable than the way our leaders value our lives as human beings. Okay. And sometimes I feel so embarrassed when there are summits, platforms, and then you will see a president coming from a particular country where he values so much the life of his people. And then we have our president in a very big suit, having a white handkerchief on his hand. And then he also associates with such people and calls himself a president, when he himself doesn't even value anybody in his country. The life of his people, he doesn't value them in his country. Now, coming to the expectation,
you would have to be very brief for me.
I'm going to be, because for me, it is here to come. So I'll be waiting for it to come. But if you ask of the expectation, we know in 2017, the Minister of Finance came out to give us a budget, and all of them called it their Sempa budgets. Insane. Any good news is supposed to be relieving. Any good news is supposed to gladden the hearts. Okay. Unfortunately, when this good news budget came, what I saw was a reintroduction of new taxes. When this new budget came, called the Asempa budget in 2017, what I saw was a massive collapse of businesses, individual businesses in the spare parts industry. The 2017 budget that was supposed to be called an Asempa budget, I saw AJI crying as never before. The Asempa budget 2017, I saw importers and exporters crying. And so I'm wondering if an Asempa budget can cause all this mayhem. What was going to happen in 2018? Probably it would have been better. Now 2018 came, and I'm told through the finance minister that this budget, we are calling it a Juma budget. In other words, we are going to have a lot of work. Those already in the working sector, the business is going to boom. But hey, what did we see after the 2008 so-called Ejuma budget came into being? Look at the collapse of the banking institutions. Look at the collapse of individual works and businesses. Look at the rate of unemployment in this country. Look at the escalation of fuel prices in this country. 2018, worst of it, look at the value of the Ghana cedi compared to the American dollar, to the pounds, and to the other trading how do you call it, currencies. And so clearly speaking, this president has told us, and I have said it, that 2016 they were able to lie their way into office. And that is why I keep repeating that the 2020 election, it is an election where electorates have got the opportunity to choose between lies and truth. To choose between those who keep lying, and that is the current government, and the truth. Consistently, after lying their way into office, they come into office and everything they keep saying, they do the opposite. Ejumapa or Ejuma budget, we are seeing what it means in 2018. 2017, Asempa budget, we saw what it meant. And so 2019, I'm just waiting to hear it. I think I'm told it is called a what? Hope budget or so. I am just imagining their definitions of that. But clearly, it is established that the NPP and the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government, when they tell you to look up, please, you should find a way of looking down, and if possible, start digging to see if you can even look down beneath the earth.
Okay.
Because they are consistent with lies.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, thank you very much. And a couple more of your messages on Facebook. A.U. Farouk in Tamale says, good morning to you and to your able panelists. It is a shame what is happening in Adenta, Medina, and government sits aloof and unconcerned to allow more lives to be lost. Sanity must prevail on that stretch of road. The food bridge must be completed. And Ahotomoli says the NPP is a problem that it has been left on Ghanaians to solve come 2020. Prekese Kwame Aristocrat says, Senna, the 2019 hopeless budget wouldn't be anything different. Why must a student who had then graduated from school be going up and down with mattresses, job buses and trunks and paying for transportation to come stay home? Meanwhile, according to NAPO, we just need 1.3 billion in a period of 6 years to abrogate his traffic light free senior high school. But we have $970 million to create new regions because the same schools in our regions need expansion. But let's help Uncle Martinamidu to fight corruption by sending your donations to short code 5321. Nyantechi's formation on all networks. Your little donation can buy an A4 sheet or printer to chase Kenefoyata for our mixing 895 million money in the 2017 Auditor General's report. PIAC may also get our missing $400 million, all money to pay our contractors from the same Kenefoyata. Kujo Danson Loshu says that I was in Kumasi, so I'm a runabout, and I overheard some youth arguing about the inept MPP, and they have confessed that it was only the NDC that was able to develop the Ashanti region. As for the MPP, they are saying they were deceived by Nana Akufo-Addo and the party. Nothing seems to be working under his dispensation. The future of this country is bleak. Johnson Kunales Clifford Vijay says, good morning, fellow comrades from good work, keep the fire burning as MPP. As for MPP, they are total failures. The economy is in reverse gear. Nothing is working. How can you post NAPCO people to class and leave well-trained professionals and ask them to do national service? And King Farouk says American president's wife visited Ghana. The first lady took her to Reach Hospital to see what GM has done. Prince Charles also comes, and the president himself takes him to KJT Market to see another GM legacy. Why did they not take them to free senior high school classroom when they are going to take visiting dignitaries to see their own projects? So now, who is competent? GM is an icon coming like Kakai. King Farouk sent that from ASEC in Kasua, and Edward Amanfo says that this is smart. My warm greetings to all your panel members. I think we Ghanaians are going through what I will call unprecedented micro, meso, and macro pains, but there are some intellectual motivations. We should be asking why, with the growth of the number of scholars in Ghana, someone who could not appreciate undergraduate economists in spite of all the good socio-economic backgrounds he could boast of, eating Gary, succeeded in fooling Ghanaians. We need to question ourselves. And Mohammed Rabiu says, good morning, Mr. Host and your panelists. Where are we heading towards as a nation? As if everyone has slept. Chiefs, clergymen, and so on. I believe that Denta incident wasn't real police firing. It was MPP invisible forces. Inshallah, we shall show them the exit come 2020. He sent that from Salaga North. And King Farouk again says that, so in 24 hours, the street lights on Adenta Road are started working. Narrow minds we have. Only demo can make some brains work. Very sad. Freeman Maunyegan Davison says, please do something about. Okay, he is okay. Noted, Freeman. And Augustine Aja says, even there wasn't any ambulance that moment. What a country we are living in. He sent that from Takwa. And Arafat Yakubu says, as for the president, the least said about him, the better. He can never help matters. Abdul Rahman says, it's so painful when people refuse to see reality just because of their selfish gains or greed. Or is it born out of ignorance? Mother Ghana. And Stephen Cognator sends quite a long one. Good morning to Senna and to your panelists. The state of Ghana today is one of prayers and hope. Check the disposable income of citizens. Nothing has changed about it. While it remains constant, every sector is seeing increases in prices of goods and services, to the extent that from Monday, when we rise to hustle and carry our concrete to build for daily bread, we cannot even drink water to our comfort. We have to start thirst management in addition to hunger management that we have endured over the last 2 years. The situation doesn't appear to have any end in sight, as we seem to have a president who appears to have no idea where he's taking this nation. It is sad. Have a wonderful morning. And that's coming from our WhatsApp, our Facebook platform. So if you're watching on PAB MCGH, you can share your thoughts on the topics we are discussing with us. Before I come to Dr. Edodomani Boama, Franco Trading Enterprise, which is one of our sponsors, says you can enjoy an amazing 30% on any of the following products when you buy from their online platform: phone and accessories, tablets, flat screens, and flat screen TVs and laptop, printers, among others. Simply download the Franco Trading app from your Google Play Store. Place your order and phone will be delivered right at your doorstep. For those who have challenges with the Franco app, please uninstall and download again. You can visit francotrading.com/francophones.com, francotrading.com or francophones.com. Branches at Abraka opposite Roxy Cinema bus stop, Accra UTC roundabout behind the Despite building, La Paz near Niboy Junction opposite Prudential Bank, Circle close to Odorais, Osu opposite Eco Bank, Oxford Street, Tema opposite Water West Community 1, Madina Old Road opposite HFC Bank, Hacho opposite Hacho Station, Koforidwa on the All Nations University College Road, Ho on the Market Road opposite Amagashi Building, Kaswa opposite the Kaswa Polyclinic. You can call them on 0302-225-651 or 0546-133-188. Franco Trading, phone Pepe Fie. Doc, good morning.
Very good morning to you, Senna, and good morning to our cherished listeners and viewers on Pub MC. Good morning also to colleague panelists. And let me indicate that as we have listened to the previous speakers, it's very clear your first topic is very loaded. Yes. Every aspect of it that you take is relevant. And I must commend Radio Gold for always stimulating our minds, raising our consciousness, and drawing attention to the ills that we are experiencing in this society. As other media houses actively compete among themselves to drown and dwarf the truth and the real feelings of the people of Ghana. And as I make my submission, I will touch on the negative effect of such schemes which confine the truth and keep the real situation on the ground away from the people. It is not in the interest of our nation. And Radio Gold should continue on this progressive path. As the topic indicates, we are to look at the state of the nation, expectations ahead of the 2019 budget, and also the carnage on our roads, and last but not least, infrastructure development. The state of our nation as we speak now is that of a tragedy. We are having a tragic state of affairs, and this tragedy is self-inflicted. And about a month ago, I spoke about the fact that elections have consequences. And this tragedy is a consequence of election 2016. And unfortunately, this tragedy is even worse than what William Foster Lloyd described as the tragedy of the commons. Because in his description of the tragedy of the commons, he was looking more at, let's say, cattle grazing and each of them seeking their self-interest. So grazing in such a way that in the end, after they have satisfied their short-term needs, the land becomes bare and subsequently they cannot take care of themselves anymore. I'm not referring to that tragedy of the commons. I'm referring to the tragic situation of Ghana, where in this case, as Ghanaians, we are having one section of society, a few people in government, led by the president, mismanaging the affairs of the nation in such a way that we are experiencing the overgrazing that they are engaging in. And this is culminating in the tragedies that we are seeing. This is the tragic situation that I refer to. And in several aspects of our national life, you can find this. But for want of time, I'll stick to very few of them, taking a leaf from what has happened in Adenta, because you also captured the carnage on our road as part of it. And I make this submission within the context that electoral promises must be met. They must be respected. And President Akufo-Addo in 2016 had indicated that in 18 months he was going to ensure the transformation of this country. Not that I believed him. We argued against it constantly. indicating to him that they were being narrow-minded about the challenges that confront this country and all. But they insisted. And whenever the real situation and what can be done in an accelerated manner to prioritize and deal with the germane challenges of Ghanaians were put forward, their view was that we had run out of ideas. Today, more than 18 months on, we are in a position to hold him to his words. And this is a matter of leadership. And so the first situation that I look at is peace and security. And it still has the Adenta situation within it. As Mr. Wilson indicated, peace and security of the people of Adenta, Medina, and it's not just about them. Anybody who goes through that portion of the road, your peace and security is also threatened. Because they will tell you, on that day, people who were returning from the Brie Mountains, the Eastern region, and beyond, who used the Abri Mountains and had gotten to the spot, could not escape. So the effect of what happened in Adenta, as terrible as it is, was not just even restricted to Adenta. It went beyond. And if someone was expecting a visitor or another person who was to go through that situation in Accra, he or she is also affected. And you can imagine the rippling effect of this lack of leadership that has been demonstrated by President Akufo-Addo. My brother, we are talking about 194 deaths. If you take the fact that every month is on the average 4 weeks, and so 28 days, and you divide, you are getting an approximate number of 1 death every day for 7 months. So let's say January, every day 1 person dies. February, every day 1 person dies. March, every day 1 person dies. April, every day another person dies. May, same. June, every day another person also dies. And July, same will happen. So for 7 good months, every day we are witnessing 1 person perishing. If you are to truly try to put meaning to the 194 deaths that we are throwing about, because sometimes we do not go beyond the statistics to look at the real picture on the ground. And these are families that are going through pain, anguish, and in some cases, anger. I sympathize with them because with the difficulties that we are going through, if you've taken care of your child up to the point that that child is in senior high school, and the child just goes to school, and the next moment you are being called to a hospital, or let's say to the police station, for the bad news to be communicated to you, you can appreciate the anguish of the people. And it's unfortunate that the member of parliament, if indeed it is the case, that he's not found the need to date to demonstrate his anger towards what has happened to his people, the people of Adenta, then I cannot understand the nation that we are building. And why do I say this? This same week, we read reports about he being somewhere in the north inspecting dams.
Can you imagine?
And the issue was that those dams that he was even inspecting were dams that had existed several years ago and that the MPP had only deserted them, and they were claiming that these were new dams. And so if it is true, and I do not have any reason to believe that it is false, because on one of your sister radio stations, I heard Honorable Howard Kumsin thank him very, 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 very much for being a good communication director for the MPP and going around to be inspecting these dams.
Can you imagine?
And so, if he had the mindset, the frame of mind to move up north to be inspecting dams, their so-called dams, which the actual one that I have seen them build is more of a pond, in fact less than a swimming pool, then I believe the people of Adenta, the people of Medina will be advising themselves going forward. Even if one life is what we were talking about as a lost life, it should have been enough to have triggered his constant presence in the constituency, fighting along with his people and ensuring that justice is done. And this justice also includes equitable distribution of the national cake to ensure that the footbridges are constructed. Again, he is fortunate to be a lawyer. Elsewhere, this is a matter that class action suit will be initiated.
Sure.
And this is what we mean when we say you are representing a people. And I believe if somebody like Lawyer Sampi Yale, Ejuji Tamaklo, and the lawyers that we know in the NDC were representing the Atentan constituency, this is exactly what they would have done. And so sometimes when you hear that, oh, between the MPP and the NDC, there's no difference, I say that is a fallacy. It's fallacious. But I say that it is not too late for this class action suit to be instituted. Because we know this government, as the agenda is on and everybody is talking about it, they will pretend to be doing something. Let the next big agenda be set in the media. They will shift their attention, and by the time you are aware, the project has been abandoned and no one is talking about it. Perhaps a class action suit is what will sustain this issue in such a way that government will quickly and hurriedly get it done. And why? We have heard several accounts. Oh, it cannot be completed this year. We should wait until 2019 and all. I heard that from one technocrat. And so what is it that has changed? That today they are indicating to us that they will be able to complete it. And even that they are not even giving any clear timelines. And so we must go beyond the citizen vigilantism that we are seeing. and ensure that a class action suit is instituted so that serves as the fulcrum around which the agenda will be sustained. That also will save the people of Adenta the ordeal of always being on the street, so that they can also look at the various things that they do to eke a living. In looking at this, I cannot forgo the temptation to also examine what has happened at KNUST. And this is because of the violent public manifestations that are associated with these two. And these are very dangerous signs. Dangerous telltale signs. Dangerous heralding events. Dangerous heralding signs that we do not want to see sustained in the country. But this is what happens when you have an insensitive government that is clueless most of the times and useless in a lot of the cases that they must be dealing with. Look, in KNUST, same. In that case, even the president had promised to intervene. The intervention never manifested, and then an immediate cause triggered the inferno that we saw. And it is leading to loss of weeks of steady periods for the students with its attendant cost. In the end, the lecturers and the students would have to agree on how to make up for the time lost. Otherwise, the academic calendar will be disrupted. It has effects on the attractiveness of universities in Ghana. As foreigners who come to Ghana to study will be viewing the university calendar in Ghana. And because governments over the years have not funded our tertiary institutions to the levels that they should be funding, these foreign students have also served as a major source of revenue to the tertiary institutions. And so this inability to resolve the KNUST issue is also threatening even this source of revenue for our universities. As whether the universities have been using the revenue for the right purposes or not, that is another matter to be discussed. And so we need to pause once again and reflect on the losses, time lost, resources, and most importantly, the lives lost. How are the families feeling? Their friends, their loved ones. If you are to look at another threat to the peace and security of our country, it is the reason why I commended Radio Gold for raising these issues to be discussed dispassionately. Because many a times you see this government trying with their media hirelings and their media collaborators to bottle up, to can the true and genuine feelings of the people, and to present a facade of everything being okay, everything being rosy. Free SHS being the panacea to all our malaise, to all the problems of the country. perhaps God may be telling us something, that free SHS is not the panacea to all the problems of this country, as we all agree. Because otherwise, why will WAS, the very place that the president launched the free SHS, be the place that we are witnessing this unfortunate situation? Let's continue to sympathize with the families. I mean, it is not easy. 194, perhaps different families. So you can imagine what we are dealing with. Perhaps we should be immortalizing that road.
Exactly.
And calling it 194th Street.
More may be happening.
Yes. Let's pray that this is the end. So we should be immortalizing the people whose lives have been toyed with by this government because they had every opportunity to avoid this needless death. Because why? By the time they took over the reins of this country, work had substantially been completed. What was left were the footbridges. They cannot argue that. What was left was the footbridges. And so the question is, why sit and allow this carnage? Why sit and allow these needless deaths because of footbridges? There's a government that came into office and said, we're not going to buy new vehicles, we're not going to buy four-wheel drives and all. And we began seeing the 2017, 2018 four-wheel drive, so on and so forth. So my brother, assuming they had decided to invest a fraction of that money into the footbridges, would we have lost these 194 lives? Certainly no. But because they believe that they will do whatever they would want to do and that the citizens can go to hell, because together with their hirelings in the media, they will be able to present a rosy picture. They suppress dissent. And the suppression of dissent this week and last week was seen in the way that the Eastern Regional Director of Yoko was dealt with when he spoke what everybody knows is the truth. And I believe even President Akufo-Addo knows that if he ends this year without dealing with any of his appointees, it doesn't matter which NDC appointee he prosecutes, Ghanaians are not going to take his fight for corruption as a serious endeavor. Because why? It is very clear that the NDC constitutes the major political threat to their political future. And so why would they not marshal every resources that they have to deal with the NDC? So that is expected. That is expected. And when you do what is expected, that is below 50%. So we didn't need the director of Yoko in the Eastern region to state this. It is the obvious. And I believe when we come to deal with the issue of corruption, this will also come up. And my brother, there is a major threat when you can dissent, when you can the anger of the people. And that is what the international community, including Ghana, we saw in the year 2010, towards the end. The Arab Spring in the Middle East, North America, which started from Tunisia. I'm not calling for the Arab Spring in Ghana, as some people in the past had called for under President Mahama. But I'm only drawing attention to it that if we do not encourage dissent to be voiced out, we risk such manifestations as we saw in Adentam, the manifestations that we saw at KNUST. And perhaps, if there has ever been a time that citizens must occupy the Flagstaff House, as we saw in July 2014, just before the Ministry of Information was added to the Ministry of Communications, this is the time. Because why? What were the reasons for the 2014 1st July Occupy movement intention? It was about the exchange rate. Today, the exchange rate is terrible. It was about hardships. Today, fuel price skyrocketing. Petrol price has increased. And they have done that 17 times in less than 2 years. 17 times. Something that used to sell around 14 Ghana cedis, thereabout, today you buy it from 24 Ghana cedis and upwards. So, if when it was being sold, even less than 14 Ghana cedis, when the dollar was nowhere near the 4.8, 4.9, 5.0, 5 point whatever, depending on where you are purchasing it, this condition is a recipe for the real occupation of the Flagstaff House that people were calling for in the past. Because in the MPP's own words, President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's own words, as we speak, teachers are suffering, teacher trainees are suffering, nurses are suffering, nursing trainees are suffering, patients are suffering, students are suffering, traders are suffering, pensioners are suffering, drivers are suffering, contractors are suffering, civil servants are suffering, farmers are suffering, fishermen are suffering, industries are suffering, artisans are suffering, Kayaye are suffering, men are suffering, women are suffering, children are crying, Ghanaians are suffering, and let me add, President Akufo-Addo and his appointees are enjoying. And I recall that the finance minister, and this is taking me to the other leg of your topic, that is the expectations, and that will be very quick. The finance minister participated in some of these demonstrations. Thank you. So, the suffering, as people are going through it now, is real suffering. And it is linked to the mismanagement of this economy. Look, as for macroeconomic indicators, it is synthetic. It is only real if it translates into micro indicators that can make people more comfortable. Why do I say this? If you take, let's say, debt to GDP ratio, and you are borrowing, you keep borrowing, you keep borrowing, because it is debt divided by GDP. If, let's say, AngloGold decides to increase the rate at which they are mining, or they acquire a new technology that can let them extract more gold. It increases the volume of the gold, hence it increases the amount, and that will increase the GDP. So, for simple mathematics, assuming the debt is, let's say, 100, and the GDP is, let's say, 10. If it used to be 5 and the debt is 100, it means that if you divide the 100 by the 5, the debt to GDP ratio becomes 50. The 100 over 5, 20. If the GDP rises to 10, and you divide the 100 by the 10, the debt to GDP ratio reduces significantly to 10. These are artificial because that gold, that Anglo gold, will extract the more. Very, very little amount of that will inure to the benefit of Ghana. Is that not it? That is the case. So it is a matter of how does the economy impact on us? And so you come in at the time when you came in, the World Bank had predicted, the Economic Intelligence Unit had also predicted that this economy was going to grow in 2017 by 8%, thereabout in 2018, also around the same figure and all. And it was because of President Mahama's work in the oil and gas sector. The very projects that the MPP kicked against, even when the Italian Prime Minister visited Ghana. And they held press conferences and all. And so if you inherit this, and the GDP goes up, you say we should clap for you. Okay? But as they are clapping for you, and we begin to see the dollar express itself, you say that one we should blame the NDC. Wonderful logic. But what is very clear that it was because of the activities, the intentions, and the deliberate policies of President Mahama and actions that ensured the coming on stream of additional hydrocarbon-related resources, which is increasing the GDP. You are taking credit for when everybody knows that you did not do anything about that. As we speak now, in terms of the economy, with these fuel price increases, transportation fares up, pure water, even pure water. This week, I heard the association announce an increase. Yes, announce an increase in pure water. And for the first time in so many years, I became concerned once again about E. coliforms, a form of bacteria which the waterworks people deal with a lot. Because I've seen on social media somebody exhibiting openyi, those polythene, normal polythene that was used to package water. You tie it, frozen, and then it's being sold. I saw that on social media, and somebody said that with this increase, we may be going back to penny, that kind of ice water packaging. And everybody knows the effect. Diarrhea, diseases, and all. Beer, Accra Brewery Limited, indicated that they too had increased their prices. Thanks to Franklin Kujo of Imani, Nido, the increase in the price of Nido also became an issue this week. Milk is known, Milo is known. And so if your child is a beneficiary of free SHS and the child is going to school, you will still have to buy provisions for that child. Cutlasses for farmers. I cannot say this without touching on even taxes. The national debt itself is also rising. And whilst government is squeezing workers, government is squeezing the citizenry, what have we seen? In this country, budgetary allocation to the presidency in 2016, it was 453 million Ghana cedis. 2017, 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. Just imagine, 453 million. The following year under MPP, 1.5 billion. More than 3 times. 2018, 1.9 billion. If I'm to talk about my expectations, I will say that I expect them to cut the 2019 budgetary allocation to the presidency to the 2016 levels to demonstrate that they are ready to sacrifice. They are ready to feel the pinch that Ghanaians are going through. Another expectation of mine, and in fact, to ask us to be talking about our expectation ahead of this budget in itself is an oxymoron, because I know that all the good things that I wish would happen are not likely to manifest. However, I will still state it. After the first one, they should cut the budgetary allocation to the presidency from the almost 2 billion to the 2016 levels of 453 million Ghana cedis. 2, there should be no new taxes. There should be no tax increases. In fact, they should reduce taxes as they promised in their manifesto. And they should revert the cannibalization of VAT as they have done, because it is destroying industries. And they should look at fuel prices and ensure that the prices will be reduced. Because it is possible. If President Mahama was able to do it, and they claim that they were competent, why should they not be able to reduce it?
Okay.
And so if they are not able to reduce the fuel prices, then clearly, I believe they are on their way out, and they are hastening the pace at which they are stepping out of government with each passing day.
Okay.
Again, expectations. With all these increases that we have spoken about, they must make provision in the 2019 budget to be able to sit down once again with the tripartite, employers, the TUC, and all the associations, and ensure that a minimum of 20% increase in salaries can be agreed upon. I say this backed by evidence. This 20% will in no way meet the escalations that we have seen in prices, but at least I also care about the effect that any huge quantum jump is going to have. And so I say that a minimum of 20%. And as they do all these things, even though they ignorantly criticized President Mahama's administration unjustifiably for investing in critical infrastructure by using things like it's inflated and it's this and it's that and it's that, when that was not the case. I will urge them to invest in infrastructure. After all, they have become the new apostles of infrastructure by their own conduct. Melania Trump came and they took her to the Ridge Hospital, which they had claimed was inflated. Prince Charles came and he was also taken to the market in Kumasi. Maybe the next one will be taken to the Kasua interchange. And I believe that critically, this government has only this budget to demonstrate to the good people of Ghana that it is ready and willing to respect the good people of Ghana.
Okay.
Because on several fronts, they have not respected the good people of Ghana. They have broken their promises year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day. And if they respect the good people of Ghana, let that show in how much they are also going to allocate to free SHS.
Okay.
In order to end this red, gold, green track system at the SHS level, because my brother, it is dangerous to our educational system. It is dangerous to the lives of the children who are going through this system to have a term that lasts for 41 days.
Okay.
Let's face it, if they had gone to school in September and it was a one track, they were going to vacate in December. That is the old system. I was in Pope John in September 1989 and the vacation was in December. Here we are. This is November. And people are coming home for others to go in. How are they going to be completing the syllabus? And that is going to be additional cost on parents. But this is what I mean when I say elections have consequences.
Okay, no. Thank you very much, Dr. Edward Manibwama. A couple more of your messages on the Facebook platform, PAB MCGH. You can watch the program live there. Jerry J says, good morning, Senator. Nanado's style of fighting corruption can be likened to the rhetoric he gave to Galamseyers. That when he comes to power, he will strengthen their businesses, but ended up collapsing it. He promised to come and fight corruption, the reason some Ghanaians gave him the mandate to rule. But like the Galamsey rhetoric, Nanado has rather strengthened thievery, daylight stealing, and Nanado is the one in the forefront. He sent that from Tema Community 11. And Benazir Brown, Arthur Oli says, say it as it is, my brother. We are dying. And Simon Fuga says, good morning, Senator. And the panelists, the Nana Bao government has got their priorities wrong. Money is being used on referendum to divide regions and building cathedral. That could have been used in building the footbridges. And Divine Apenyo says, now as things look, Ghanaians must open their eyes even as they are sleeping. We are sitting on a time bomb. Nobody should say, I didn't warn you. And Abdul Rahman says, we have already come to terms with the MPP government. They speak to Ghanaians indirectly. Asempa budget was for them and their families' good news. A Juma budget was to collapse people's business for their own gains. Hope budget is for Ghanaians, hopefully, to realize the rest of the coming budgets, then remove them 2020. And Kunalis Johnson Clifford from Ajay Kojo says, Mr. Host, can you advise this super incompetent and narrow-minded government to stop them traveling small and concentrate on issues that are begging for answers from the citizens? Corruption upon corruption, nothing is working. A couple of you have also been sending your messages through our WhatsApp platform. The number is 0233 995905, 0233 995905. And let me start from the top. Senator, my greetings. I have two issues. The first one, he says, is what at all has JDM done wrong? What at all did JDM do against Rawlings to deserve all these evil attacks on him? The second issue is about the way the MPP is disrespecting our Togbe Apede. They talk to him anyhow on this voter division agenda. Finally, I want Togbe and other chiefs of our land to learn from this. That we might have agreed secretly with the MPP in 2016 to the partitioning of our land without consulting his subjects, just to let GM down. And this is the result he is getting now. Gross disrespect from MPP. Efo Kofi Kotoka in Tema. Don Leo from Abekala Paz, if Grandpa Akufo-Addo and his shameless government has not introduced this bogus free senior high school double track system, the worst lady student will not have been killed. And this one says, I was a personal driver to the site manager of the China Zhonghao Road Construction Company, who were working on 14 kilometers from Agona Duakwa to Mankrong Junction. The contractors were told to stop work June 2017. Please come and see the nature of the road now. You will cry for Madagana. That's the legacy of Nana Akufo-Addo. Doris from Fertilizer in Teshi says, peace be unto you. I just want to ask if the students who will be sitting in the house for 4 months, will they be giving teachers in the house to teach them? If not, then then they should forget it. Now, to the NDC members, they should all come together and work and stop creating confusion among themselves. It's only GM who want, if not, then no votes. And this one, Didi Martins in Adenta says, what is Dr. Omanibuama saying? The road itself was completed in 2012. What did the NDC do for the past 4 years about the food bridges?
The road was not completed.
What did they do in 2013, 2014?
In 2016.
Okay.
Facts are sacred, comments are free.
Well, Bibi North K says, I'm very appalled by the MPP government's response to the food bridges issue, but I'm also equally appalled by our NDC's failure to fix it when we were in power. I remember that the people started complaining. Honorable Ashimo promised ensuring that it gets fixed, but he couldn't, and he got booted out. Sir Prince Amanase says, nobody can deny the fact that this MPP government is the most corrupt ever. Upon all the corrupt cases recorded under this government, the president is still going round and praising himself and claiming credit for fighting corruption. Haha, wonders shall never end. Never again in 2020. Musa Abato and Kumasi says, Senate, the leadership we have today are self-centered. Their priority is to buy 36 air conditions for 2-bedroom apartments. If you have incentives, government, who virtually appointed all his family and friends into influential position, expect common food bridge to be neglected, and eventually Ghanaians have to suffer for their ineptitude. Ghana deserves better. My regards to, incoming chairman, Honorable Fosu Ampofo. Radio Gold, please don't miss the point. When MPP called it a Sempa budget, it meant time has come for them to quickly pay their debts. The Juma budget, some of our listeners, the Juma budget was for the actual looting. The next budget, no matter how they will call it, is directed to strengthen the structures of the election 2020 machine, which they have decided they must win using the security and the paramilitary terrorist Delta forces they have created. Mark my words, the judiciary is already on standby to support this government in the coming elections. You are journalists. Please make your independent checks. Good morning to all of your patriotic panelists. God bless you. Mohammed from Norway. So please, Radio Gold. Okay. Thompson Bauer, I've heard you. Hi, Sana, your panelists and your crew. The MPP administration only preach virtue and practice wise. Theory moves with practicals. If you claim you are learned, then prove to the world you are and stop fooling us. I salute Mr. Eduji, who addressed some being ardent, while he is more ardent than the word ardent. From Philip Adeka, a.k.a. Amegbeto Odaseni in Italy. Finally, one from Kojo Chumbuafo, and it says, Sena, with all that the NDC is complaining about, this the reckless conduct of this country's economy by the MPP government. Is the NDC willing to offer Ghanaians contrast? Are we in the NDC telling Ghanaians that we will roll back the taxes, reverse the cannibalization of VAT? Are we prepared to tell Ghanaians the truth about the numerous and sustainable entitlement programs like free senior high school that government cannot afford? Without offering clear contrast, what are we asking Ghanaians to vote us into power for? to continue the MPP style of government. He's still typing, but let me bring it. Mr. Sam Fiale. Good morning.
Well, Sana, I want to associate myself with all the views and comments passed and made by my other colleague panelists, because they are very cogent and useful. You want us to critically analyze the state of the nation. And I believe it is this nation, Ghana, you are talking about.
Yes.
And if you asked me, I would have asked you the same question. But since you have asked me, my answer is that this is a state where mere anarchy has been losing on the country and its members, citizens. The president cannot hold this country, and things have fallen apart. This is the country we are living in. And I want to ask a simple question to my friend, the IGP. Mr. IGP, your predecessors have brought in programs like visibility, community watchdog, and others. What have you brought, Mr. IGP? Transfers, and today I've read that they have posted policemen on the Adenta Road. I will come to that. But this is a clear admission of failure on the part of the police administration, because you are supposed to be preventive instead of curative. Why do you allow 140-something people to die before you deploy people to go to the same spot? Not forgetting that the day before, you have brutalized human beings, knowing that the person that was killed was a student, and the predominant population there could necessarily be the student of West Africa Secondary School, and that if one of their members have been killed, the possibility that those whom amassed there would be without arms, would be armless, and therefore sending those brutes to go and beat them was something that has not happened in this country before, unless under previous MPP administration. IGP, I want and I'm demanding the name of the commander who was in the khaki directing affairs at the Adenta incident yesterday. I am demanding the name, the rank, and the other officers who were assigned yesterday to go to the place. And IGP, you are also to account for all the bullets that were used, because if you are on top of your brief, you will know that students, unarmed students on demonstration could also be, attracting hoodlums and people who had their own, beef to pick, to do other things. So what you do is to send intelligence before the police moves to isolate the student from those who are creating the problem. Eddie, do you know what I saw? There were these people who had started burning ties. On one of the videos I saw, they were burning ties. The police were not interested in quenching the burning fire, but they were interested in the blue car, that blue hot water tank, spreading water on the people who were not even there.
Exactly.
Who gave those commands? Who gave those commands? In a country, a day after reviewing IGP, you and your team reviewing that video and the other videos, you should yourself resign, because that is not the output of a professional police and institution that we expect. Here we are, somebody in white t-shirt, and a khaki trousers, commanding A uniform, please.
Yeah.
And here was somebody just firing, and he, like Wilson said, there was a shop that was closed. They opened the gate, went for somebody who was just standing at the balcony, brought him down, started slapping him, and put him in the car. Senna, did I see a pickup being used to lift a dead body or an injured person? And have you forgotten the thing they said when Professor Mills was not used, taken in a pickup? Have you forgotten? So if you ask me the state of this economy, this country, that's one of the issues I'm going to raise. The state of this economy is that we have an expired IGP in terms of age, who has not brought any new mentality in the police force, apart from rewinding the Ghana police. At some point in time, we moved from Ghana Police Service, to Ghana Police Force. And that we armed them. Don't forget that the soldiers got angry. The soldiers then got angry because they could not sit down and look at brutalities being meted to Ghanaians. So the soldiers came in, and then quickly they started moving the police force into Ghana Police Service. IGP, in the Constitution, we have Ghana Police Service. So please, let your services be services. Others like Kudolo, we saw policemen at the junctions. These days you see visibility. These days you see a policeman at the traffic junction, he's only on mobile phone.
Exactly.
And when the student demonstration, what do we see? What do we see? Brutalities. Look, the state of this country is that we have a president who is 72 years, who, unlike me, will not sit at home to think about this country, but will go to a disco and party with women. This is the state of the country. Because if you see an old man like me, you understand, standing in disco, what would you say? And I have the guts to go and address students. I am some people at my age, I'm at the disco dancing with the women. That's the state of the country we are in. A 72-year-old man in the disco shamelessly dancing with women. That's our president. The state of the country now is that we, as a country, a booming, developing country, have the largest number of ministers in the whole world. 110. I hear they have even increased it. When we talked about it, the president said they were in a hurry. It must be a very weak athlete who within 2 years cannot run even 50 meters. You said we're going to create one district, one factory. Not so? Not so? What is this here? Today's date is what? Today's date is what? November 10th. Yeah. How many years more do we have for 2020? Less than 2 years.
A little above 2.
About 2. When are you going to acquire lands, Dr. Manewama, to build one factory in this country? And which factory are you going to build? Is it palm oil factory? Which factory are you going to build within 2 years to employ Ghanaians, the youth? That is the state of our economy, of the state of Ghana. The state of this country is that the president promised that he was going to give every district $1 million, and that not a single dollar had been given to the districts. The last time I checked, the minister was proudly in the Volta region, saying that, if we give the money to the constituencies, they will fight. And therefore, we have decided to convert it into toilet and solar pump water. $1 million. Toilet, how many toilets will take that? That's the state of our nation. The state of our nation is when there's bold inscriptions on a fertilizer bag, not for sale, the government decides to sell the fertilizer to the farmers and expect that there will be increases in output. That is the state of our country. So now, for the first time in the history of this country, this is the state where we have Ghanaian cedis. You need 5 to buy $1. It's the first time in the history of this country. At least I'm old enough to know that never in the history of this country has the $5 dollar been purchased for 5 cedis. Even in the pre-colonial, at some point days when we have the revolution and the rest, dollar never went to 5 cedis. That is the state of our country. Sana, talk about Dr. Mani Boy has spoken about petrol. How many times has petrol been increased? 17 times. Meanwhile, you know that anytime you increase petrol, many other things follow. Not so. How many times have you increased the salaries of workers? So somebody said, if you pretend to be paying workers, they will pretend to be working. So if I'm coming from Takrady, Ima, I don't spend less than 1,200 because if you fill your car and you go back, this is the state of our country. Are you following me? This is the state of our country. Now, this is the first time in the life of any Ghanaian student to have slept with more than 4 people on one bed. Are you listening to me? I went to secondary school my old days, and you all have been into secondary schools. Have you ever heard that students are now packed in storerooms without fans? Have you heard it before? Have you heard that students are now traffic lights? Students are now traffic lights because of policy. One come red and then hot, then one come blue, get ready, one come cream, sleep. This is the first time. Sarah, the state of our country, this country today, is that the president can take the microphone, go to GBC and insult all of us because we are talking about something that we are not too clear with the American-US relationship, Ghana relationship. The state of our country now is that when a vice president too, not Sabiyalo, can say that, hey, we are bringing in technology which is far better than that of UK and America, so that you can locate your addresses. Meanwhile, the bodyguard standing behind him was holding a telephone with GPS, and he punched and you could see the thing free. So where is our $2.5 billion? Where is it? Where is it? Sana, Amani, where are the vehicles you stole? Where are they?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Where are the vehicles that for me, I was in India. The vehicles you stole, where are they? Oh, Sana, it's serious. I'm very serious. If you are a poor man and you behave that you are a rich man, time will expose you. I have never learned proper French apart from the one I did from Form 1 to 3. And those like Omanibama who did it were not for the proficiency that can make them French citizens. So where is this Ghana joining the Francophonie? President, why have you decided that Ghana should join Francophonie when about 98% of your people don't speak French? This is the state of the country. And you know why he's doing that? They have reduced the whole of the development of this country to election winning machinery. That's all. Otherwise, why should the issuance of a national ID card, which should unite us, a card that should unite us, rather divide us? Because they know There are certain people in our villages who cannot afford 700 Ghana cedis for a birth certificate. They know that many of our people do not need passports, all right, and therefore they will not crave for passport, and therefore there are few people who can acquire the passport and the birth certificate have the right to register. How can that national ID card, which will unite us, rather divide us? This is the state of the country we are in. Hello, Senna. As for young people like you, I pity you. I pity you. As for me, my road is short. Your road is long. See, if a country does not learn from its history, it will get destroyed. In 1844, our people, illiterate as they were, signed the bond of 1844. The result is Obuasi. You see the Obuasi Township? The Anglo Gold, how they have devastated Obuasi, Takwa, Pristia. Today, we don't even own the resources, natural resources that we have. Then in clear daylight, you emplain to China and go and sign a loan of how many billions? For how many years? 100 years. And some of the youth of this country are clapping. Even if you are 5 years today, in 100 years, you will not be there. But you will still be owing. We are clapping. This is the country, the state of the country. We don't need any Arab Spring. We don't need it. We don't need it. Because the things that Ghanaians can do, every time we say we are peace-loving people, isn't it? Yeah. But when something small happens, you see its impact. I'm talking about the Nanumba Kukumba War. Small thing, you see what happened. I'm talking about what happened at KNUST. Small thing, you saw what happened. And recently at Adanta, when the poor, when the deaf and dumb begin to talk, be careful. Ghanaians are patient, long enduring, but we are not stupid. We are not stupid. So if this government thinks they can manipulate the electoral system by removing constitutionally appointed electoral commissioner, you understand? Introduce Ghana card for the purposes of winning election. And now you are joining Francophone just because our citizens in Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, and Togo will be prevented by the French president to come and vote for the party of their choices. You'll be smiling at the wrong side of your teeth, of your mouth.
I love radio.
Because nobody can suppress the will of the people. Today, I am hearing that the mayor of Accra has almost sold the Makola number 2 market to an individual. Nila Isuwa. That market is older than your grandmother. Your grandmother traded there. The Makola number 2 market. So your grandmother traded there. And it's not for you to come and sell it to private individuals. That's the state of our nation. We are carrying a government like a hunchback. Our legs are very small, but we are carrying a government of 110 ministers. And what is so annoying is that when the president is going to disco, he goes with 40 vehicle convoy. As you drive like that, the villagers, the people, they see it. And like Eduji said, you see, when the citizens feel that the political class is not in their interest, they will rise. That is the state of our country. That's the state of our country. The state of this country is that we have deliberately decided to destroy our education system. Deliberately. I want anybody to challenge me that the traffic light student contains the children of the current ministers. Sana, you are a journalist. I want any of the current ministers of this government who can boldly put his hand on his chest and said, I, Kobnemos, my child is at Gini SHS. I want any minister to make that claim. Because if their children were there, you will not see children park their chore boxes on verandas. And you see goats, snakes, all with the children. And remember, these are the young girls between the ages of 15 to 18, getting to their prime. You say it's a free SHS, but the attendant cost. Did you see the circular going on about the Wesley girls? The attendant cost. Now, if my boy is about 14 years and from Cape Coast and he's got a school at St. Peter's, what do I have to do? I can't get accommodation on the campus. Then I have to go and rent accommodation for this little young boy. Right? How do we train a boy of 14 years on his own in a strange line like that? Apart from the cost of accommodation, the trauma the boy is going to go through, have you considered that? So why, I'm asking, why have we decided deliberately to destroy the education, the quality of education in this country? Why? When Mahama came out with the COVID idea, the technical aspect training, I thought the understanding was that it is not all students that has to be given the grammar education. And there are some people who naturally want to do things with their hands, isn't it? So why don't we, instead of this dangerous, I want to borrow somebody, this dangerous senior high school implementation, why couldn't we look at the other ways of absorbing the student population? Those who want to do the grammar, let them go. Those who want to do the technical, and even apprenticeship. I remember that about those days, you were bringing up a program like apprenticeship. Today, if you hire a mason, do you know how much it costs? Sana, a mason costs 800 Ghana cedis a day, because we are losing the number of masons. As for plumbers, don't talk about them. If something gets wrong with your plumbing system in the house, it will take you many days before you get a plumber. Because the number of people who are plumbers, and most of the time we are even bringing them from Togo.
Yeah. And Cote d'Ivoire. So what responsible government will not look at the challenges we are facing and train our youth for that? Kojo, don't worry. The next NDC government, we have learned our lessons and mistakes. We have also learned that carrying 110 ministers is feasible. We have also learned that if Mahama had one family member and it was called family and friends, we can increase, appoint the Chief Justice as Akufu. We can appoint the AG as Akufu. We can appoint the Judicial Secretary as Akufu. We have also learned. We have also learned that, listen, don't just criticize JSS. We are SHS. We must build more of those community schools. Put them there. What kind of wickedness do you exhibit on your own people? When in my village, a village near my village called Sanko, Sanko in Ahanta West, a whole new block has been completed. As at the time we were leaving government, we were just waiting for the furniture to put in the school. Go there now. Sana, the whole place is engulfed with weeds. I'm talking between Agona Kwanta and this school. Go there, it's all engulfed in weeds. Meanwhile, because we have not used this school, the Bedibonjo school is so crowded. What kind of country are we running? Sana, as for me, I've seen it all. I've known it all. But I am on public platform to talk just because of the youth of this country, what we are living for them. Otherwise, Matthew Opoku Pempe and my friend, the one who is in charge of tertiary education, from the Central University College, Yanka. Why would you dissolve a whole university council when you know that is not the system?
That's not the law doesn't permit you. And because of your intransigence, the students of KUST, who are supposed to come out as our engineers, pharmacists, doctors, and are all at home. Senator, that is the state of our country. Oforiatta came, and when he was in the occupied Ghana, their beef was that the dollar was high. What is the dollar now? What's the dollar now? Go to Takwa and the Galamsey areas and go and see. I see they are not Ghanaians. Money, go to Takwa. And these people were not small scale. Takwa, what is the river there? There's no river in Takwa they were destroying. So a responsible government will come out with an environmental program. See, make sure that you are reclaiming the land as the traditional miners were doing. Get them trained. All you do is give a policy that they should be shot and killed. These are not Ghanaians. So. The Galamsey people are not Ghanaians. But so far we have not had any instruction to any military man to shoot any Chinese. Have you heard that before? This is the situation. I am expecting that when the finance minister, who under his watch within 2 years has collapsed 7 banks under his watch, if you are a teacher and within 1 year 70% of your students fail, then you must be an excellent teacher. If with all your financial wizardry, you have collapsed 7 banks, how many workers are involved? And you think that you are a finance minister, God be with you. But what pains me is that as he collapses those banks, his debtor bank is acquiring the assets shamelessly of those banks. Haven't you seen in other countries of the world how governments have built out banks? Because they need to build out the banks, to make sure that there's a financial stability in the country. Because most of the SMEs depend on these banks. When the MCEs are SMCEs are functioning, then they can employ people. Now you have closed the banks. The business people cannot take the money loans from the bank. So how do they? You say you are for the private sector. As for me, it's not me who said they are in private sector. The private sector government has collapsed the bank, and the private sectors cannot get loans from the bank. What kind of system is this? What kind of system is this? I'm asking you, Senator. I am expecting that tomorrow, when he reads the budget, the minority MPs in Parliament will ask Ken Oforiatta, hold on, give us the breakdown of the expenditure of the money that was given to the president the last time. Of course, that is the essence of budgeting. You gave me money to do certain things, isn't it? I come to account for it, and therefore I need more money or I need less money. So tell us how much money we're given and how you have utilized it. That's all I'm asking. That's my expectation. I'm not asking for anything. I am so ashamed. Me, Sam Pijali, I'm so ashamed that in my whole life I've been a trade unionist. Because by 1st March 1977, I was a regional union secretary for IC, Smith Local Union. The Trade Union Congress, you are collecting workers' dues. Workers are being dismissed. You understand? All you can talk about is Katiria. Why are people even paying their dues to the Trade Union Congress? Because of their political affiliation. No, so. But a living Trade Union Congress, but now would have asked the government, hey, you cannot ask workers to go home. Because the TUC we did it. When we started the restructuring program, restructuring adjustment, the TUC came in, and that's why we brought in the pounds card and others, because it was the intervention of the TUC. What is the current TUC doing? What are they doing? Certain associations which used to be so vociferous, like our association, have just suddenly gone quiet. But throughout history, it has been the silence of those who have spoken the inaction of those who should have acted that have allowed evil to triumph to this date. As for Mahama, he has given you his terminatory, whether you like it or not, on the whole. As for Mahama, whether you like it or not, he has given you the Kaswan teaching. As for Mahama, whether you like it or not, he has given you the biggest market in West Africa, modern market in Kejetia. And there's one also in Cape Coast. His hope was that if he had another chance, he was going to develop the secondary Takrady Central Market. Done it. So far, the only person who has worked in this government, you know who has worked, is the first lady. Ironically, is the first lady who has opened some small attachment at the University of Hospital Kolobu, and yesterday he also opened a chip compound. The only person who has worked in
that chip compound was done by the NDC.
Yeah, but at least he has commissioned it.
No, just for the record. Pon Katamanso, it was.
I contributed.
No. It's even reported in the Ghanaian Times. First Lady inaugurates. First Lady inaugurates chip compound at Saduase, Bon Katamanso, and the record will show that everything was done under the NDC. In fact, from the 10% deduction from Dr. Maningwame's salary and co. That was what was used. So even the one that you are applauding the first lady for working on is a chip compound that was effectively done under the NDC.
Sana,
still 40 billion, nothing to show.
Sana, let me conclude on the carnage on our roads. And I'm asking the President, Mr. President, let your mayor of Accra drive through Kaneshi, through Atiko Junction to Hansonic, and see they are not potholes, they are graves. Because some of the holes have gone too deep. Yet they sit on television and radio and talk all the time. I believe that these days it's not even necessary to talk about their broken promises at all. It is not. But if the Ghana Road Safety Commission, all it does is to tell us that last year the death rate went high and low, then we have a problem. Then we have a problem. You have the Ghana Police Service. I think I've seen some new vehicles for them, the Toyota Corolla. And they think it's an achievement.
How are you going to chase Ann Roberts in Domi Pillar 2 with Corolla when the road is not good?
Chief, don't worry yourself. Kofo brought them some small Peugeot cars.
Yes.
Where are the
Roberts and Joe video Peugeot cars.
Where are those Peugeot cars? Why is the president not asking? Where are the tools that was given to you by Mahama? You know one of the causes of accidents on our road? You know it? The police itself is one of them. Because if you are driving on the Takrady road, they will go and hide at some Hudia's corner.
Yeah.
This journalist who died, have you forgotten what killed him? Bismarck Bibli.
Yes. They will go and hide at some Hudia corner, and they are in black already. So as soon as you open up, stop. That's the point. And our roads and highways engineers are so useless. So useless. Have you noticed that most of the potholes on the road have been caused by the ramp they create? Because if you climb you have to brake before you climb the ramp, and after that you have to brake again. And between on the left, on the right, there are serious potholes. Don't they have any means of controlling traffic? If you are driving at that fast speed, all of a sudden you see some villages have created a ramp. That also causes the accident. I believe that the NDC government has learned a lot out of its mistakes, and we can assure Ghanaians that based on our records, coupled with that our added experience, we can do far, far, far better than this government. I am telling you without any doubt. Because at least if we have 2 students who are stupid in the class, at least the one that can respond to what is your name is better than the one who cannot respond to his name. If NDC is stupid at all, we have built roads, we have built schools, we have built hospitals. That's what they use when the dignitaries come to town. Chief, this one to ally. So I want to assure Ghanaians that there are better times ahead. Okay. There are better times ahead. And that if Wasfiansa, you know the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Sam Piale. He essentially closes our discussion on the first topic, but a couple more of your messages before we move on to the next one. Prosper Mensa on Facebook says, Sena, you're doing a good work for Mother Ghana. My expectations are, how much did they borrow? How did they use this money? What is happening to Nungwasi desalination plant? How much did they put in Free Senior High School? And where from this money? And that is his expectations. And Kukia Benedicto says, please, the police IGP is there for money, not solutions for Ghanaians. Do you still believe in Ghana Police? This one from Nagwai Ezekiel says, I'm watching live from Ningo, so today is my first time. I'm really enjoying the program. Keep the good work. Ebenezer Obinche says, the country and the economy is hard, such that everybody is complaining, both rich and poor. Nanado, you are a failure. David Elemausi Nibo says, we are in the western region where gold is being mined, and we are not getting gold to work with, forcing all the shops to collapse. It is even pathetic when you go to Nzima. Let me go to WhatsApp, and Kojo Chumbuafo says that he has completed his message. The second part is that did the MPP not promise to change Ghana in 18 months? And the completion of the food bridge is part of changing Ghana in 18 months. Paraphrasing the words of one of their own without plagiarism, if the food bridges are uncompleted, complete it. That's why you ask for power. In the meantime, let's all keep dancing. One district, one disco. And that's from Kojo Chumbuafo. And before we move on to the next topic, once again, a reminder that Franco Trading Enterprises, you can enjoy an amazing 30% discount anytime you buy products from their online platforms. You can use the Franco Trading app, or you can use francotrading.com or francophones.com and buy any of the product. You can buy phone and accessories, tablets, flash screen, TVs, and laptop printers, among others. You can call 030-225-651 or 0546-133-188 for any further information. Franco Trading phone Pepe Fee. Let's move on to our next topic, and that has to do with President Akufo-Addo's talk on corruption and the work he has done. And so because we are behind time, we have to. I'll be controlling the time a bit, so we start with Kujo Tameklo.
Yes.
And
on the issue of corruption, for me, when Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo said that his appointees who have been, or they are alleged to have been involved in corruption, have all been cleared, quite clearly the president, his own party member, Ken Ejapon, told us that in order to see the president, the gate fee is about $20,000. Then we had the presidential assets fee scandal, where to sit by the president, you needed to pay $100,000. So the corruption, the president himself is sitting on the citadel of corruption. Why? Is the president telling me that the visa racketeering thing never happened in Australia? Is that what the president is saying? Look, let it be known And I am putting a challenge to the Ghana Police Service that they should publish the report of the visa racketeering scandal. They cannot publish it. It's my brother Pius N Alhaji. They're telling me that today, if Eduji, I represent myself as a journalist from Radio Gold when I am not, and he supervised that thing, it is not corruption. Look, I have had to, I've witnessed situations where people were prosecuted in court for visa-related fraud. So when you represent people who are not journalists, as journalists for the purpose of traveling abroad, is that not fraud? The public officers who superintended on that, what is the president saying? Mr. President, it does appear that you were misled on this one again. Are we not talking about the president who gave executive approval for the Ameri-Novation Agreement, that one too, who was cleared? What is the president talking about? Were we not here moving pina? Moving pina in this country? 5 million contaminated fuel vanish. The person who superintended over it was just on a piece of paper. He delivered 5 million liters of contaminated fuel to a company just on a piece of paper. Immediately when the scandal came, the president actually called National Security and BNI to clear him. And you know what? The BNI and the National Security put in their report that the man went through competitive process in disposing of it. What he didn't know was that Alfred Obin was on a sister station at Inka FM, where he had said that it was upon expression of interest that he disposed of the fuel. And later when people got to know, then he then directed Macwell Zoop Oil to move in Pina. Meanwhile, official government report, desperate to clear the man, came out that the man did it through competitive process. Mr. President, it does appear you don't know what is going around you, or you are personally complicit. You are deep in it. We were here when 22 million Ghana cedi worth of premise fuel were diverted. Mr. President, what are you talking about? Do you know what is going on? 22 million. And the reason why the premise fuel diversion is huge is that it is done, we subsidize it as Ghanaian taxpayers' money. 22 million of it was diverted. Let me just go on. Look, as we speak, Martin Amidu, you know the president thought he could leverage on Martin Amidu's bitterness towards the NDC by appointing him as the special prosecutor. So you hound NDC former appointees. So he, the president, will benefit from it politically. Unknown to him, the corruption in his own government was huge. So Martin Amidu started investigating. If you recall, Metro Mass. Martin Amidu started investigating. So what should the president do? The president had to use the Whittaker formula by making sure that the special prosecutor will not have the needed funds to go ahead, will not have the needed legislation to go ahead in order to prosecute corrupt person in his administration. Look at the reaction of this government when the Eastern Regional Director of EOCO said, Mr. President, there is nothing about you being a hero if you go after your political opponents. You are a hero if you have the courage to go after your own appointee. Immediately what happened? The man was fired, suspended. When anti-corruption crusaders went after the president, shamefully, they said, the EOCO boss, KK Amwa. And you see, that is the problem of this. You see, we have a huge problem in this republic. You have a situation where the man now suspended, then the presidency come out and say, oh, the decision you've taken is reckless, so restore the man. Do you know who chairs the governing board of EOCO? A retired Supreme Court judge, Justice Bobby. So at the time when KK Amwa took the decision to suspend, was the board not aware? Is that what we are saying? So the attitude of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo towards the commitment to fight corruption is one of complicity.
Okay.
Let me just say, Saturday by this time, 1 minute. Saturday by this time, the NDC should be going to elect the national officers that will prosecute the 2020 agenda. Okay. I am very convinced that from what happened at the Pentecost, where the women and then the youth election happened, I am convinced in the judgment of the delegates of our party, the most progressive liberal political party today in the whole world, the party that anytime you talk about development, sustainable development, the only political party you can point to is the NDC. This is not a party that builds university by splitting existing one. We built it right from the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
Senator, just a quick one to add up to the Adenta issue. You know, ironically, for the past 7 months, the street lights on Adenta Stretch has never been working. But yesterday evening, when I decided to go and do a follow-up on what transpired the night before, the entire stretch, the street light is working now. You know. Now, again, the information I've gotten is that from the lady, the deceased lady's brother, that she was the only daughter of the family. And so we can imagine the impact of it. You know, she is the only lady in the family. The mom and the dad, they only have her as the only daughter, you know, in the family. So we still want to console with them. And then the other one is that, again, yesterday when I did a check, when I went there, MTTU have now been able to station policemen to stop vehicles for individuals to pass. But I'm still asking, where is the member of parliament for Adenta in all this? Where is she? Where is he? Now, well, it is not about he just going. It is about we also ensuring that we give a credible person to replace him. That is what we need to do.
It is what?
Because funny enough, yes, Wabia Samoa has not said anything. We've not heard of him. We have PNC executives there. We've also not said anything. We have NDC executives there. They've also said nothing. As I indicated, when the issue took place, the only political figure who resided in that constituency, who surfaced, was myself. And that is so pathetic. You understand? Now, having said that, this issue of corruption, honestly, I want to plead with you and your producer that, if possible, we will discuss this next week, because the issues I have with regards to corruption in this government, I beg you, I don't think I will be able to even raise it or talk about it. So looking at the time, I will plead with you and your producers that I wouldn't even want to start. Let us look at it next week, and probably it should be the first topic.
Well, then it depends on the agenda next week, because next week.
But corruption.
We may do it at the ground.
Yeah, so we'll find.
We may do it at the ground.
Yeah, we can still discuss it there.
Your
solidarity message. Then I join the team, so that will be fine. Yeah. But quickly on what is going to happen next week, I will want to plead with the NDC delegates that they will elect competent persons. As I said, the 2020 elections, as far as all opposition parties are concerned, our focus should be one. And that focus is that we want to present a change to Ghanaians. That is what we need to do. And so as NDC prepares to go and elect national officers, they should elect national officers who will have this in mind. So that when they are elected, and PNC will also go and we elect our own, we will have the meeting of minds for the purposes of 2020 elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ango Sampieri.
Well, Senator, these elections, to me, means more than getting ready for the 2020 elections. Because I have participated and followed all activities in the reorganization and of the branches up to this point. And a few worrying things have surfaced, but we believe that we have the capacity to handle them. Now, I want to believe that this Congress will really give the NDC its identity as to who we are. There is some confusion as what our political ideology is. And for that, the lack of it, so many of us who are true social democrats are inclined to tout Kwame Nkrumah's achievement. And so, either we are Nkrumahist, revolutionaries, or social democrats, they are gray areas. But our constitution says that we are social democratic party. And therefore, I believe strongly that those of us who have had some discussion, and I'm referring especially to the NDC professional forums, they have done some framework into trying to suggest to the executive who will come that this is the way forward for establishing a true social democratic party.
Okay.
Your programs, your activities, your future orientation should be based on social democratic principles. Often we have unnecessarily allowed ourselves to be invited into some debates. And when some people are not happy, all they say is that we have deviated from the core principles of the party. As to what the core principles of the party is, people are not able also to talk about it or identify them. I was a key participant of the revolution, apart from the AFRC. You understand? Even with the AFRC, I was a union leader. And the PND AFRC start of doing things was saying that we're doing house cleaning, and came out with some slogans like probity, accountability, and other things. So we chased people who we thought were not accountable to the country. We chased people who we thought were not transparent enough. Fortunately or unfortunately, we carried this feeling that we should die for our country by proclaiming that we are socially accountable and probity and all those things. Okay. We carried it to the when we started the NDC, because we are offshoots of that. This philosophy or these social principles are enshrined already in our constitution as our motto. So we have to determine whether we are a party of probity and accountability or a social democratic party. And because all Ghanaians are supposed to be transparent and accountable, you understand? And that is also enshrined in social democracy. Sure. I believe that NDC has come to a time where we have to define ourselves, our identity, political identity. You see that the Dankwa Buzi identity has been able to endure by claiming that they are a property-owning democracy. And whether they are practicing it rightly or not, they have been able to explain to people. But most people of the NDC are not able to explain what social democracy means. I believe that this Congress should be able to focus on that. Or we should elect executives who should look beyond just occupying party positions, you understand, and look at strategic positioning of the NDC for the future, for the sake of the children. Another controversial issue which people don't want to talk about is the running factor. You understand? If you hide from your kitchen, you eat in your garage. If you hide from your kitchen, you eat from your garage. It is time that we sat as a party and identified all the issues. The factor, Rollins factor, we have to really examine it, its pros and its cons, so that we can craft a more effective relationship with the founder of the party. You understand? I can say without any controversy that there's no NDC man who wants Rawlings ousted from the party. No, none of them want that. And what actually is happening is that people are at great pains. People are rather at great pains seeing our founder, hobnobbing with the opposition, the people who have persecuted us and people who are continuing to persecute us. For whatever reason, the former our late founder is doing that. It's also another study, phenomenon for studying to see what actually is causing our founder to despise us and be more comfortable with Akufo-Addo. We need to discuss that as a party. You cannot shy away from that. You cannot run away from that.
Okay.
It's time that the national executive, plus whoever we emerge as a presidential candidate, have to sit down with the former president. Listen to him. He may have his own points. You understand? And then we also tell him our points, our viewpoint. Because see, all those of us who participated in the PDC CDR, we are over 60. You understand? So question is, what tradition are we leaving to the youth? Should the next 15 years of an NDC person just get up and say, we believe in probity and accountability? Should that be the case?
Okay.
We should politically identify who we are. That's another assignment this Congress should also resolve.
Okay.
Finally, we have, out of our work as professional forum, we sent a team of independent observers to the Women and Youth Congress, and our findings are not to be discussed on air. Okay. But I want to advise all delegates from branch level to national level that the NDC party positions are not for sale. Are not for sale. The difference between us and all other parties is that we will do things voluntarily for the love of the party. But unfortunately, some things are creeping into our party which is not palatable at all. Our party cannot be auctioned to the highest bidder. Okay. And all the national officers who are contesting positions and condescending to this, please advise yourself. It's not the best. Because if you come to a time, you have to give a delegate a whole vehicle before he votes for you. That is not right.
Okay.
That is not right. And I expect the new executive that will come to sit down and face the realities as we have identified as a professional group. Finally, there should be no sense of ownership without action. Okay. There are so many people who sit on the fence. I drive all the way from Takoradi. Yeah. My little contribution is to come and explain NDC position on air. There are so many people who are just sitting on the fence, waiting for NDC to win and then just jump in to take positions. We don't take positions. In NDC, we don't take positions. If you want to contribute, this is the time to contribute. Okay. If you want to be a minister, this is the time to come in. Sure. Because I bleed to see some of our ministers with information.
I agree.
And get some young people who don't have the facts, for somebody like Abonye to bullet them on radio stations. Sure. When we have ministers who can go with the facts, like Omanobama and Okizato Ablakwa come to do here, that is the kind of new NDC we want to build.
Okay.
And finally, finally, every NDC member should know that per the Supreme Court findings, elections are won at the polling stations. Okay. This is the time to adopt a branch as an NDC member. Because if you are in Accra, really, you are in Accra and you are so comfortable in your East Legon accommodation, you don't know what happens at the branch.
Exactly.
The branches just need maybe 50 Ghana cedis to organize. You don't go and help them. Yeah. You don't adopt a branch. Sometimes in the election time, we have to cook from somewhere. And by the time the food gets to the polling agency, the food is spoiled. Adopt a branch. Let your wife cook on that day in your kitchen and go and give to the polling agents. That is how to contribute to the party.
Okay.
Adopt a branch. There are some youth in your constituency who needs your inspiration and mentorship. Go there.
Okay, Doc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Yes. Mine will be very snappy because we are 7 minutes past 12. 12.
Don't mind the sports team that can be
First, to commend our executives for taking us through a very tough exercise of branch elections all the way, 29,000 plus, and now we are at the stage of the final election, which is the national executives. It has not been an easy road, but the party has persevered. As we speak now, we have our youth executives and our women executives in place. And it is heartwarming to know that they have started working actively. Yesterday, they were together with some of the former appointees were on Legon campus for a program, and Joyce Bauer even went to UPSA and then University of Ghana simultaneously. This vigor needs the support of the mother executive itself, that is the other national executives that we are going to elect on Saturday. I pray for God's guidance that the good Lord, He Himself, will open our minds, touch our hearts to elect executives who will place the interest of the party above all other interests. The dynamics in opposition are very, very different. And we've seen it before. Working through post-2000 all the way to 2008. We know ourselves and we know the weaknesses of some people. We know people we can trust with resources and those we cannot trust with resources. We know levels of dedication. We know levels of competence. We know levels of commitment. And we also know that the ultimate goal in this election is not just after Saturday, but the ultimate goal is to recapture power from the MPP. Two, and I emphasize that, two, right the wrongs and put this country back on the path of true progress and true development, to cut out the nepotism that has engulfed governance of this nation, and to ensure that appointments are made based on merit, commitment, dedication to duty, and all. That is the goal. And so, we are going to look at competence, we are going to look at dedication, we are going to look at sacrifice and service. We are going to look at people who are prudent with finances. And we are also going to look at, even sometimes, and I take a leaf from the French national team in the 1998 World Cup. And even the French national team in this recent World Cup. They had very good players in 1998, but not all of them were selected for that World Cup because they basically felt that, considering the goal that they wanted to achieve and the chemistry of the players and all that, they needed a particular set of team. But I do not believe that those who were not selected did not support the French national team. So my advice also is, competent people have put themselves up to be voted for. Only few people can occupy the positions. Each position will be filled by one person. the others who will not be selected, or those who will be selected against, I believe will also commit themselves and rededicate themselves to the ideals of the party and the goal that the party has ahead of all of us. And that goal simply is to recapture power, to right the wrongs, and develop this nation. So let's go into Saturday's Congress with a view that we will come out of it with no one being a loser, and that the party must win at the end of the Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eduardo Manibuama. He is a former Minister of Communications. He joined